intro one. So go live.
He's got a P1000. He ain't afraid to use it. He's got a P1000. He's only afraid he might lose it. But he pointed at the moon. He pointed at the stars. He pointed at Uranus and he'll point it at Mars. But every time he touches the camera, Ranty proves the globe, he proves the globe. He's a great globe prover, proves the globe, he proves the globe. He's a great globe prover. And his friends, they don't talk to him anymore, because he debunked the video and a woman picked a book off the floor. He failed the boat going over the horizon, and all his friends could do is cover the horizon. Right, he'll never know how hard it was to find something wrong with the horizon, but I think I got away with it. Reggie still proves the globe, he proves the globe, he proves the globe. He's a great globe prover, proves the globe, he proves the globe. He's a real globe prover, and he come and sit with me, and I'll give you some of my nasty shield money. Proves the globe, he proves the globe. Thank you for proving the globe.
I'm not prepared for that, Hovind's latest release. I'm not prepared for that. He's not prepared for that. I'm not prepared for that. Kent's still not prepared for that. So why do you refuse to debate conspiracy cats? I'm not prepared for that. Yeah. Conspiracy cats got one over on me. I'm not prepared for that. Somebody actually did a song. I'm not prepared for that.
Okay, Kent, it's your turn. Take center stage.
I'm not prepared for that.
Yeah, you are. Now take it away.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not prepared for that. Not prepared. I'm not prepared for that. Not prepared. I think it's wonderful, okay?
And then I said, if you stick that in there again, I don't know what I'm going to do and who's going to clean the mess up. But anyway, it seems we're live. I don't know. It seems that we're finally live. So, although I did cock the intro up again. J.L. Warren, how are you doing, man? How are you doing?
I am good, sir. I am good, sir. Good. Doing great on the day that was made for me, apparently. Because, you know, I am all things horror. I'm Horror 365, and this is the day to celebrate that. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to say you're the ideal man to have it. Anyone who's watching the stream can see, obviously, Conspiracy Cats at the top, but Week in Horror across the bottom. That is your thing, isn't it? That's your podcast. I tell you what, before we even start and tell everybody, we've got an absolutely packed show, loads to do. But why don't you just tell people about your show and then we'll crack on.
All right, so I'll try and nutshell this because I could go into the whole long story and it's pretty huge. But you know, I just left work. I just left my last job, and I was in a creative rut. I needed to do something, and shortly after I completed my first novella, and I realized I kind of lit the fire within me, and I was like, I got to do something. And a friend of mine was like, why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you talk about shit that you love? And I was like, you know what? That's an excellent idea. Kevin Smith talks about comic books with his friends when they're stoned. Why can't I talk about something that I love? So I was like, what do I love? I love friggin' horror movies. I love horror movies all day long. So, and I have friends that do too. So the decision was made that we were going to do a podcast, and we're all filmmakers. So we wanted to we didn't want to do reviews. Everybody does reviews. So we wanted to look at horror films from the filmmaker's perspective and really try to give our audience a glimpse on the inside of what it's like to make these things from the filmmakers side of it. And also it's also for filmmakers as well, because there may be stuff we talk about behind the scenes, tricks of the trade, camera tricks or special effects stuff that people might not know, or people can learn from. So we wanted to spread that information and create a very dedicated look at the genre that we love so much. And to couple with that, we also, we nerd out. We have our bloodbath debates, which we're going to be doing one today here on this show, which would be awesome. Katz actually thinks he can beat me in something. And we also do our After Dark sessions when we bring industry guests. We bring directors, writers, producers, actors, special effects artists will come and join us on the show and talk about their experience in the genre and talk about what they love and talk about what they hope to see from it in the future. So we do all kinds of stuff. We also have, all kinds of ways you can hear us. You can listen to us wherever you find podcasts. We're all over the place, and we have a YouTube channel as well. So it's just been it started out as something really, really small. We were, I think Eugene was like, I think this will last a couple of weeks. We'll do it a couple of weeks. We'll get bored and be like, this wasn't a great idea. So we're now in season 2. We've completed an entire year. So we are, I think, like over 70 episodes in the can, including After Darks and Bloodbaths and various stuff. We got original content, original horror content, which will be coming to our Patreon here pretty soon. But it's been an absolute blast. I didn't realize how much it would take over my life when I started it. But I love this. I love scouring the internet for horror movies, and plus it's the best homework ever. I get to watch horror movies, and it's not for a living yet. Hopefully this will be my job. The intention is for this to be my job, and I'll get to watch horror movies for a living and tell people about it. It would be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's been an awesome ride.
Fingers crossed. Well, I've got to say, mate, I think you just outlined exactly why you are absolutely going to stuff me in the debate. In fact, we'll tell the chat what's going on. We've got ghost stories from subscribers that we can talk about and that you can comment on with. I've been busy interviewing people online, and we'll play some of those interviews. You can tell us what you think about them. We have a debate, a live debate with me against this man here, J.O. Warren, where we're going to be discussing the worst horror film ever made, the best of the found footage genre. Michael versus Jason. We're going to have lots of fun with that. We have some live debunks. For anybody that missed the Baldy Cats video that came out this week, we've also got episode 2 of the Flat Earth debate team do the A-Team. We've got that, and Nathan Oakley is going to sing us a song. So if you haven't seen the Baldy Cats video, some treats there as well. So where do we start, J.O.? What do you want to start with the ghost story? Should we?
Let's do that. This is Halloween. Let's kick it off with some ghost stories. Being a Boy Scout, I was in Scouts, and I was in Scouts for 10 years. I got my Eagle Scout back in 1998, and so there were many, many times at night around the campfire I've heard many stories. So I'd love to hear what we have here.
Right, well, the first one is from Andy, a subscriber, who, if you check out the description, I've linked his channel in the description. He does like a family blogging channel. So if you like Andy and you want to see a bit more about him, check out the description. Right, I think when I press play, nobody can hear me and you talk anymore. So we'll have a chat in the background. The rest of you enjoy this ghost story.
Hi, my name's Andy, and this is my scary story. Years ago when I lived in Glasgow, I had just got a dog, a 1-year-old golden Labrador, and he was still being house trained, so I still had him in a dog crate. So I had a friend around one night, and we were playing on the PlayStation 2, and we always listened to music while playing the PlayStation 2, which was Bon Jovi, and we had the lights off. After my friend left that night, I was switching the computer off. I'd paused the music, and I was switching the computer off, and suddenly the music started playing again. And what I found strange was it was a 5 CD multi-changer, and it went from Bon Jovi onto Bryan Adams halfway through a Bryan Adams song. And all the while the dog was in his crate and he was whinging more than we normally would. So I switched the light on to find that the dog had actually urinated all over his crate quite badly. So I went over to switch the music off, and when I got to where the hi-fi was sitting, I felt what I could only describe as like static down my back. I got a feeling that there was something standing there where I was standing. And the dog was whinging so badly as if he could see something I couldn't see. but I definitely could feel it.
Right. Okay, so we are back. I've just seen a few comments that my volume is a little bit loud or distorting, so I'm just turning my microphone down there. Hopefully that will fix any distortion.
How am I sounding? Am I sounding okay out there in the chat?
Yeah. How is the sound now? Have we managed to fix that? I guess we'll find out. I guess he'll let us know. But I have turned myself down. Yes, that's Andy. He's a subscriber. He's been a subscriber for a long time. I had a right little chinwag with him. He seems a really, really nice guy. So, first of all, before we go to the chat, what do you make of that? Somebody hears the CD changer changing CDs without being asked. Dog pees on the floor. Feels tingles down his back. What do you reckon?
Well, there's a lot of details that we don't have. So first and foremost, I worked one summer for an electronics store, and CD changers, just especially depending upon the model, pardon me, are notorious for malfunctioning in various ways. They're very, very sensitive. You give them one little jolt, they can jump around very, very easily. So saying a CD changer is malfunctioning is nothing. It's nothing special to me. I think this is a combination of just natural malfunction of an electronic equipment combined with coincidence. So I don't think I think that his experience was real. I think that his experience was real, but I think he may be misinterpreting his experience.
I'm absolutely under no illusion the experience was definitely real. I mean, he comes across an extremely nice, honest guy. I think we were talking offline before, and you said that coincidence is such a strong factor. Coincidence can really drive home in your mind whether you're going to remember something and focus on something or not. You know, and
coincidences, timing, and things occurring outside of the normal pattern of routine are all of these can play into. Not to mention if you throw in pareidolia and you throw in apophenia, those two, you combine these things to the perfect, especially given a setting that may increase anxiety. So at night, our anxiety naturally increases because we are, we're diurnal. I believe the term is diurnal, and so if you combine certain things, not to mention, and there's a big one, is the presence of electromagnetic frequencies. Electromagnetic frequencies do cause heightened anxiety and will actually, if they're strong enough, can cause people to hallucinate and see things out of the corner of their eyes, or maybe hear something that wasn't there, or misinterpret things because electromagnetics mess with the senses. So it's a number of things that can go into it. In this particular situation, I actually wouldn't be surprised if his dog accidentally hit the CD changer because the dog was trying to get his attention to go outside and needed to pee, and he wasn't paying attention. The dog hit the CD changer, caused the CD changer to skip, and then the dog peed on the floor.
See, that's a good turn of that's a good turn of events. I'm interested in what you're saying about electromagnetic radiation because I know infrasound isn't electromagnetic radiation, but infrasound as well can have similar effects. It can cause heightened emotions. So if you are feeling a little bit anxious, and there's infrasound, which obviously you can't detect. Infrasound, if you're not sure what that is, it's anything below the human hearing range, below about 20 hertz.
ULFs, they call them ULFs. So sometimes earthquakes can generate them because animals are more sensitive to those. That's why animals tend to get freaky before an earthquake occurs, because they're picking up those ULFs from the tectonic movement.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I was teaching ultrasound to kids at school, I quite often also talk about infrasound just because it is interesting, and there's like a professional. He's not a ghost hunter. But he does try and investigate why people think they have paranormal experiences, and he puts a lot of it down to infrasound and causing hallucinations.
The show on Sci-Fi, the show on the Sci-Fi Channel, Ghost Hunters. There was two guys. The two guys that started that they worked for Roto-Rooter, which is basically a plumbing and pipe company. So and they combined it because they realized that in homes that there were paranormal phenomena or there were strange phenomena in, typically coincided with issues with either plumbing or HVAC or something in the house. And they realized, because they would go out to fix stuff, and they're like, well, this is odd. This is a strange coincidence that we've seen, so let's investigate it further. And I cannot tell you how many times they came across homes where there was paranormal activity, or the children have nightmares, or they do like the whatever, where it was like an old AC unit that was generating way more EMF than you typically would, because older units typically do that. And or it was a pipe that was doing a particular thing, and so they literally fix it, hauntings over. Yeah, and then the show got popular, and then they went crazy, started faking hauntings so that they can maintain the ratings. Bummer.
It's a fascinating subject, though, like how our senses can. It just shows how human we are. That even though we're aware that science can affect us, we can be affected. When we are affected, it freaks us out. I just want to address just a couple of super, because I really don't want to miss if any super chats come in.
Go for it.
Because Creaky normally drives, and he knows how to access them all. And I don't. So, David Oliver, thank you very much, David Oliver, says, have you ever heard of the Creepypasta stories? I haven't. What's a Creepypasta story?
Oh, Creepypasta, I think is what he says. Creepypasta?
Yeah,
Is that what he's saying? Okay, so creepypastas, I believe, originated on 4chan, and then migrated to Reddit. There's an entire Reddit culture centered around creepypastas. So Slenderman, Siren Head, the entire SCP, the Secure, Contain, Protect, that whole genre of writing is all comes from creepypastas. It's like Ted the Carver, Smiling Jack. All this stuff comes from just people writing on the internet to create scary stories that, or basically generate urban legends, which is kind of neat. And it's a really great creative environment for people to express, their writing in the horror genre. And there's been some fantastic ideas. Hell, movies have come out of this. Like, we got Slender Man, and then we got, I think there's a Ted the Carver movie that got made. And so, there's some interesting stuff that has come out of that. But it's pretty much it's online writing. It's pretty cool. There's some really weird shit in there.
See, this is why you're here, because you know all this. And I know when we were planning the stream, and we'll probably get into this in the chat later on, but I know you know a ton load of stories about the origins of Halloween and where it come from and stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to some of those later on. For now, C4. Says, happy Halloween, everybody. So thank you very much, C4, for the super chat. Really, really kind. Okay, I know there's lots of other questions in the chat. When we get to the second half of the show, I'll certainly be taking, so if you just tag us in, I'll be taking as many questions as we can when we get later on in the show. For now, we have got a couple more ghost stories. Now, the next one I'm going to play you is from a guy called Gary, who's going to be coming on to the show at the end of the show later on. Now, Gary's lived in a haunted house for quite some time. There's a fireworks going on outside, would you believe? I don't know if that's coming over my microphone or what, but what a bad time that is. Gary's lived in a haunted house for quite some time. I think he's in the chat now. I'm going to play his story, but then rather about talk about it, what I might ask, while the story's on, I might create a little community poll on the webpage while you're watching it, and you can ask him questions, so when he comes on we can deliver all those questions to Gary. So I'm going to play Gary's ghost story now, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Right, well, my story, it's quite a long one. I'll give you a little bit of background. When I was married, we bought a little farm labourer's cottage. The earliest pictures I found was dating back to 1860. Everything was fine. And then we started, I think the first time actually something happened, I was in the kitchen making a brew. It was pitch black outside. I couldn't see anything. And I heard a voice in my ear. And I thought, oh, crap. And I was scared to look up. I just shouted, Yvette, it was my wife. And she's in the living room. And I thought, oh, crap. I was scared to look up. And I was scared to look around just in case somebody were there. So that was the first thing. Then, so as well as that, there's a block of 4 cottages. This one particular day but nobody in the everybody was on holiday. It was like holiday out, whatever. I'm laid on the couch, and just by my head, I smell a marzipan. I don't like marzipan, but it's a really nice smell. I thought, well, that's a bit weird. Nobody's baking. So I stand up, move away, and it's gone. Go back to where I was, and just right here next to my head was his marzipan smell. And I thought, well, that's weird. What else is there? So there's that. We're going upstairs one night, all the lights off. We see a flash across the hallway. So it's pitch black. There's no way a car could have made it. So that was like, yeah, all right. I saw that. My wife saw that. So I thought, right, fair enough. Like, didn't think out of it. Went upstairs, and because it's the old farm labourer's cottage, it's not normal floorboards upstairs. So it's all wattle and daub type things, and the heating for the radiators were under the floor, so it's always warm. Yeah, this time we went upstairs and there was a freezing cold spot about probably 3 feet off the ground to about 4.5 feet by a couple of feet wide, just icy cold. You could put your hand through it. About warm, cold, warm. So right, this is getting a bit weird now. So there's that. Then there's one night we're both laid in bed. We heard somebody talking downstairs. It sounded like two people talking, and you can tell when it's a neighbour or outside. We could hear it, two people talking in the living room downstairs, and I thought, we're getting burgled. My wife's saying, go downstairs. I'm like, no bugger that. We're insured, so there's no way I'm going down. And then the next night, laid in bed again, and I hear footsteps walking towards the bedroom. I have never been so scared in my life. I've said again, I thought, we're getting robbed. I'm getting murdered. I'm closest to the door. I was looking to like chuck my wife in front of him, everything, looking for something to try and pick up, and nothing. I was expecting the door to fly open, it to be the cat, nothing. I went outside, absolutely nothing. And I didn't sleep that night. And that happened 3 times. And it's scary every time it happened. And then there's other little things as well. I had just a cheap computer, cheap speakers, and you used to hear conversations coming through it. But I put that through to being the police station down the road. With a radio chatter. But if you listen to it, you could hear it weren't like police going, Roger, Roger, blah, 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 sort of thing. There was that, and just weird things like that all the way time we lived there. And then it always happened to me, but one thing happened to my wife one morning. I went to work. I used to leave about 7:30. I have to travel to Nottingham, and my wife shouts down, "Gary, are you still there?" And something replied to her. Something went yes. When she didn't hear anything, when she realised I was I wasn't there, and it was something replied to her, and she went straight out of the house. She ran. And I've got one more. It's nothing to do with the house. I did a ghost hunt at the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham. I'm a bit of a crap bag. I'm a bit of a softie with stuff like this. And for some reason, that whole night I didn't feel scared one bit. It was supposed to have been a bit where they chucked like half dead bodies down for like dogs to eat and all that. And I wanted to stay there on my own, which I wouldn't normally do. I'm normally off. I would say like
Right. I'm not sure, because I don't think I left a blank space on the end of that video, and I don't know whether that video has looped a few times or whether it hadn't quite just finished. I apologise to Gary if I've cut the end of that story off, but we are getting him on to the show at the end of this stream, so you can ask him any questions about the house. He did correct me in the chat. He did say it was an allegedly haunted house. He wasn't saying it was specifically haunted, and I should have said that Absolutely should have said that, but we'll get him on at the end. What I've done, if you go onto the community poll, the community page, sorry, I've put up a post, and any questions you want to ask Gary about his experiences in the house, if you put those questions there, when he comes on, I'll just read them straight to him from there, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. But that's going to be almost at the end of the show. Can you hear, JL, all those fireworks outside my window? Actually,
yeah, I can.
Oh,
yeah, I just got wind of something. Yeah.
God, dear me. Just at the wrong time.
Is that whistling that? That okay? Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, they don't know I'm streaming. I mean, like, how inconsiderate. How can they not know? Did they? Boris Johnson didn't know. He didn't check. What a bunch of. Oh. Anyway, so what do we say? We have one more person to come on with some ghost stories. Now, we'll bring him on in a minute. Someone called Derek. His ghost stories are ever so slightly different because he knows what's gone on with these stories. He's going to tell us a story, and then we'll just leave you in the chat. Me and JL will chat for a while, and then we'll come back to the chat and see what you think the cause of that story is, and see if you were right. Because Derek, he's got the story, but he's also got the cause as well. But before we get to that, JL, I have a super chat that's directed at you. Oh, hang on, I've missed one there. There's two here. From Jazz Daz Rylander, he says they mostly come at night. Mostly. What's that in reference to?
Yes, J Daz Rylander is a part of the Week in Horror Discord community. We do have a Discord community. I think there's a link on our channel as yeah. You can check that out. But we have aliens. He's a big fan of aliens, and so am I. And I put up a picture when I got my new setup taken care of. I got all this set up, and the shirt that I was wearing when I took the picture was a picture of. It was like the Jurassic Park logo, but instead of a T-Rex, it was an alien, and it was LV-426, which is from which is the planet from that movie. And he's a huge alien fan, so we've been going back and forth with alien stuff. So he was dropping they mostly come at night, mostly.
Brilliant. We've got another one as well. Thank you very much from Generally Shady. Thank you. He says, I'm doing NO2. He's doing nitrogen dioxide. Everything sounds like ghosts on crack. Love it. Love it. And, another one from Generally Shady. Pyrotech. Here, we can fix them, cats. Please go outside and fix them, because I don't know what the hell we're doing. And
Pyrotech, we call them firebugs.
Joe Allaby now hasn't left a message. However, that is a name that I do know, unless it's a coincidence, unless you are not the Joe Allaby that I remember. Maybe you are. If you are the Joe Allaby I remember, then hello again. If you're not, then thank you very much for the super chat. There was no message, so there's some context needed in that, but thank you. Right, I'm just thinking, JL. I know that we have more ghost stories to tell. Should we do maybe round one of the debate though? What do you think?
We can jump right into it. We absolutely can.
Oh, and we've just had super chat from Derek, who will be on soon. Photopunk in the chat. Thank you very much. He says, thank you for letting me tell my two stories. Yeah, he stayed up all night, bless him. Sorry for being exhausted. He'd been up all night to wait to tell the stories. We're definitely going to get to them. Can't wait for them. And we'll do the first one after the first round. JL, I'm going to let you choose. You can tell everybody which debate do you want to have first, because this is where I get my ass kicked, everybody, heavily.
Okay, so we've got three. We have three that we're going after. We're going after the best of found footage. We're going after the worst of the absolute worst. What is the worst horror film? And then, of course, the character debate, the horror icon debate. Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers are going to throw down here. Let's start off with, oh gosh, I'm kind of curious what the chat wants, but you know what? Let's go best of found footage. Let's start there. Let's do the best of found footage, and the absolute best. I think I am taking the Blair Witch Project, and Cats, you are taking
Paranormal Activity. It's on the screen as we speak. I'll just minimize that. I'll stick it somewhere the sun don't shine for a while. I'll stick that up there. Over my name. We'll leave the name of your podcast there. Remember, if anyone wants to check that out, link in the description. Highly recommend it. Knows his stuff. So, How badly am I going to lose this debate then, JL? I've chose Paranormal Activity as being the best found footage film. Oh God, my word! I struggle to keep up with these. Sorry, I'm just going to pick up a couple of because I don't want to miss them. Andrea says, question for the debate: are there any atheist flat earthers? I think there are, aren't there?
I think there are agnostic. There are agnostic flat earthers, but I don't think there are actually any atheist flat earthers.
So someone might be on the edge. Oh yeah, well yes, but I mean, because I'm not in that whole debate community. I know some people very firm about the definitions, aren't they, of atheists? And you're right, I'm not using that correctly. Penguin95 has got a joke. All right, don't look at the chat. See if you can guess the punchline. Jail. Where do ghosts buy their food? Where do they buy their food?
At the ghostery store.
This is for you, Penguin. Well done, mate. That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. And I think that's the same one from Joel. Surely he's not. He can't have posted twice. No, it's the same one. Right. So here we go. This is where I get my ass kicked. You make the case for the Blair Witch Project as being the best. I'll make mine for the Paranormal Activity, and then the chat will get to decide how badly I get beat. Off you go, sir.
Oh, you let me go first.
Oh, please, yes, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
So yes, of the found footage genre, which definitely has its hits or misses, hits and extreme misses, the Blair Witch Project is by and large the greatest of all the found footage films. It pretty much put the found footage genre on the map. It came out in 1999. We're actually working in a movie theater when that movie came out. The marketing campaign was absolutely brilliant. The biggest thing that sets it above everything else is, one, it set the standard for putting people in the shoes of the individuals who are currently a part of it. It popularized what's called retroscripting. Retroscripting is a technique utilized when the actors who are on set only have the bare bones of the plot, and they pretty much make up the dialogue as they go along. Any found footage film that utilizes that tactic got that from the Blair Witch Project. The film itself only cost $60,000 to make, and that included its marketing budget. Went on to gross $198 million worldwide, making it the best performing found footage film ever made, the best performing indie horror film of all time. The biggest reasons why it puts it's so far above Paranormal Activity is because, one, it came first, and the guys behind it, they set the standard. Two, the problem with Blumhouse, while Paranormal Activity was an entertaining film, the problem with that found footage technique is that all we got were a little bit of handheld and security cameras around the house. So it was very, very similar to watching the inside feed of a haunted house that you're visiting and things going on. But the problem was, when you're looking through the security feed, you are disassociated from the characters themselves. With the Blair Witch Project, everybody always had a camera in their hand. So that's how we get into the shoe. That's how we get into Heather's shoes. That's how we feel what she's going through. That's how it tied us in. Those final closing moments when she's screaming and she makes her way into the room, and then we see her friend there with his face in the corner, and then something takes her out and the camera hits the ground. That's how we get involved. That's how we're emotionally invested. Paranormal Activity did a little bit of that, and the acting was on point. And I'll actually concede that the acting was a bit better than Blair Witch, because those two were actual professional actors, whereas the Blair Witch crew were pretty much people just kind of starting out, very, very young, very amateur, or no acting experience at all. But that also lent it to its realism. I felt like I was watching real people there, whereas in Paranormal Activity, I knew that they were retroscripting, but I knew that they were well practiced at it. So improv was a part of their training. And ultimately, it was a close successor, and I would put it up there with probably the top 5 of found footage, but it doesn't beat Blair Witch for realism, for intensity, and for really drawing you in and putting you in the shoes of your protagonist. And while nobody survived any of the films, I'll always go back to Blair Witch as the one that shook me to my core when I first saw it.
That was pretty good. I had you on mute for that because I knew you were going to argue really well. So, no, I didn't have you on mute. All right, I will present my case before I get beat. First of all, though, generally Shady, thank you very much. He says, Pyrotech has an extinguisher, Maniac has petrol.
This is true.
That
Yes,
absolutely
the
is.
pyrotech is worried. The pyrotech worries about putting it out. The maniac just wants to start.
So, I mean, you're right. I'm going to make some concessions before this debate starts, okay? I'm going to concede that when it comes to, let's talk about profit against the original cost, Blair Witch Project wins hand down. If you want to talk about which film started an entire genre and influenced, movie makers for a couple of decades, then Blair Witch, hands down, is the best at that. If you want to talk about the film which kind of shocked the world and confused people when it came around, because, especially young kids, is this real, is it not real, what's going on, then Blair Witch wins hand down. If you want to talk about the film that takes non-professional actors on a shoestring budget and makes something great, then yeah, Blair Witch wins hand down. However, okay, let's just be flat earthers for a second, right? We don't need facts to argue our point of view. We don't need the numbers. We don't need anything other than what these films make us feel. And Blair Witch made me feel bored, okay? And Paranormal Activity, when I watched it, what it made me feel was intrigued and excited, and ultimately there was a satisfying payoff, right? There was something there. We got a glimpse of that monster, and we got a sense of conclusion, not a sense that everybody was dead and we didn't really know what had happened. We got a payoff. And for me, when I judge a film on how I feel when I walk away from it. So, even though I have probably about 1% of the knowledge you do on this topic, and even though that I argued about 1% as well as you argued, and even though I'm going to get absolutely humped in the votes when the chat polled in a minute, I am pleading with the chat to go with how you felt when you left watching these two films. And I felt a lot better when I watched Paranormal Activity. And before you vote, couple of blimey, more super chats. Thank you very much, everybody. Jack Kirby, bloody hell, that's another name I remember. Is this either this is a coincidence or something odd is going on? It says less money because I'm not as rich as Joe. Well, good to see you, Jack. Thank you very much. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Adam. He said I was at my. Have you seen that?
I think we all have found disturbing footage in our parents' house.
I'm going to have to read that out because people are going to know what I'm laughing at. I was at my parents' and found disturbing footage. Well, you might have done. It probably was locked in a cupboard, maybe taped up in a shoebox, and it wasn't for your eyes, mate. But
the Bakshi tapes.
J. Daz Rylander says Beetlejuice for the ultimate Halloween film. Beetlejuice was good, actually. I like that.
Oh, I gotta disagree with him on that, man. Ultimate Halloween film, Nightmare Before Christmas. Always Nightmare Before Christmas.
Got a knock on the door. Hello, come in. Trick or treat. Come in. Trick or treat. Just wave you. Say hi. Trick or treat. There you go. One for your sister. I'll shut the door. Off you go. Thank you. Anyway,
Hey.
Trick or treat. So, the chat. I know I'm going to get beat, but if you, let's say we'll give it 30 seconds, we'll watch them come in. Please type a P for Paranormal Activity and a B for Blair Witch. P or a B. Let's see. Off you go. Start typing. Oh, while we're doing that, Crafty Keel, I've been trying to get hold of you, and I will speak to you soon, Crafty Keel, but thank you very much. Just sending some Halloween love to us all. Thank you very much. Hope you're okay, and I will hopefully speak to you soon. I can't see any of the votes coming in. Oh, they're coming in on the chat now. There must be a bit of a delay.
Let's see what we got.
P. Oh, we got a couple of early P's, but I think B's winning. Although I'm doing better than I thought. B, yeah. B.
Oh, yes, we have to say rest in peace, Sean Connery.
What?
Yeah, Sean Connery passed away today.
I did not know that. Did
Yeah,
not know
90
that.
years
What a
old.
legend. Did he do any horror films? Wow, here, let's...
You know, shockingly, no. He did many crime thrillers, and he did a couple of psychological thrillers because he was in Marnie, and he did a sci-fi thriller called Meteor, and of course Zardoz. But yeah, not a horror film to that man's name. He didn't do a single one.
Bless.
He still
well,
deserves a shout out, you know.
absolutely
You know,
he does.
because legendary. I mean, I wish his career hadn't ended the way it had with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He deserved better than that. But yeah, he was our Bond. He was Sean Connery, and finding Forrester, freaking, The Rock, Entrapment. Shit, man. I mean, the dude's career was legendary. Dude, if you have not seen 1974 Murder on the Orient Express, oh my God. That one was just chock full of stars that just would blow your mind. Ingrid Bergman, Albert Finney was in that, Sean Connery, so many legends. But yeah, God, I'm going to miss him. Damn this year. Damn this year to hell.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and he was our Bond. He was, but he never, or at least when I was growing up, I never looked at him in other movies when he was older as, there is Bond playing a different role. Like I like Daniel Radcliffe, but I still can't help look at him and think, it's Harry Potter. And I know he'll hate that. But, Sean Connery, he made so many great films hit after hit. The Untouchables, loved his role in The Untouchables.
Oh, God, The Untouchables, yes.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking those, James. He smashed that kind of like mould, those shackles off, didn't he? And you can appreciate Bond for what it was, but God, it's so much more. Just a couple more super chats with some names of some great films, actually. Dennis Hutch says, some great mysteries. The Bloop, I'll have to ask you about that because I don't know that. The Dyatlov Pass incident, that was a good found footage film. I did watch that. And this is I don't know if this is a dig at me or not, but how is Tony Mowbray still employed as football manager? I know that is a mystery. Before we get to the Bloop, Jeremy Lee Shady, thank you very much again. My fave shirt on the front says, I'm a pyrotechnician. If you see me running, on the back it says, try to keep up. I like it. So the Bloop. Tell me about the Bloop. Is that something you've heard? It's not one I know.
Okay, so yes, I think this was in 2004. Anyone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was sounded in 2004. So the NOAA has listening posts scattered pretty much throughout the ocean, and they're each separated by, I think, of about 3,000 miles, about 5,000 kilometers. And so they have these underwater listening posts that they utilize. And so one day, they heard what it was. They heard a sound. The NOAA array picked up a sound that they dubbed the Bloop. And if you listen to it, because when things are underwater, they sound much different. So it actually was a very long, but when you speed it up so you can actually hear it, it sounds like a bloop. It sounds like a bloop. And the thing freaked people out because, one, the sound was enormously loud. It was picked up on two basically listening posts that were 5,000 kilometers apart. So that sound is enormous. It shouldn't technically. At that point, what we know in science, nothing on this planet could make a sound like that. And two, they know it wasn't anything mechanical or anything man-made because the sound, you can determine where the sound comes from. You can determine that something is organic as opposed to metal or just something constructed. So something organic deep in the Pacific Ocean made the bloop noise that was heard pretty much across 5,000 kilometers of ocean across the abyssal plain. So it blew people's minds. No one knew what the hell it was. It still is relatively unexplained, although the best idea for what the bloop could have been was something that we've never actually caught on recording before, was a massive ice sheet calving in, I believe, off Antarctica, and that it was a chunk of ice that was underwater that calved off that was enormous. and that's why we didn't see any significant, sea level change. It was just basically ice breaking off, but it was the sound of the ice calving off of the main body that pretty much generated the sound and was picked up all over the place because the sound is never repeated, and we've been unable to duplicate it. But something of that magnitude would be pretty huge. So it most likely was ice calving in Antarctica, but that's the hypothesized response. We still don't technically know what the bloop was, but we do know, and this is funny. This is a funny coincidence that the coordinates of the bloop are actually quite close to the coordinates of H.P. Lovecraft's sunken city of R'lyeh.
See, again, that is why you are here. You bring those knowledge bombs. That is amazing. I've just read some quotes in the chat saying that my audio was off. I think that OBS had picked up not the microphone that I thought I was using, so I've tried to change microphones. I hope that works. If that doesn't work, I don't know what else to do. So maybe let me know in the chat if that sounds a bit better now.
You sound good to me.
Oh, thanks, mate. Got another couple of super chats again. Thank you very much. So J. Daz Rylander again says, for a great Halloween read, I Am Legend. Not the film. Now, it says not the crap film. But wasn't that film based on a Mega Man?
I Am Legend was based on a Mega Man, which was with Charlton Heston, which was based on the I Am Legend book by Richard Matheson. And so, yeah, book went to movie, went to movie. I Am Legend with the one with Will Smith, was a little on the weak side. There were some good moments. The dog scene just absolutely kills me every time I watch it because I love dogs. You probably saw my German Shepherd running around here earlier, and that scene got me. But film was a little on the weak side. The Omega Man with Charlton Heston, magnificent. I thought that was a fantastic film and a great and a really, really decent adaptation from Matheson's book. I'm a big fan of Matheson's book, and I thought that was a really, really scary and a scary read because of he's able to create the tension. But the brilliant idea, and because I read it when I was young, the brilliant idea was that the person we consider the vampires or we consider the creatures legendary. But because he is the one killing them, and they outnumber him, but he's the one he becomes the monster. He becomes the legendary monster to the new civilization, and I loved that idea. The flipping of that trope was pretty brilliant on Matheson's part. Yeah.
And I watched those films probably in the wrong order. I watched I Am Legend with Will Smith first, and then I watched when I realised. That it wasn't like an original or whatever. I watched the Omega Man, and it kind of hit home how a good story, how telling a story well is so much more important than how you make it look, if you like, on screen. Because the Omega Man, obviously, visually isn't going to live up to things like I Am Legend films we have today. But it was an amazing story. What else have we got? David Oliver says, oh, by the way, I think my microphone is sorted now. It must have been OBS. I think it picked up my webcam instead of my Blue Yeti, and I don't know why it did that. So apologies to everybody for my crappy audio up to now. David Oliver, could Death Company be described as a horror film? One of my favourite films. No idea. What's Death Company? It's not one I've seen.
That one doesn't sound familiar. I actually have a database that I have created.
While you see if you can find that, I'll just read off the other two. Geekcraft Studios, thank you, it says love you bro. Geekcraft Studios is the guy that wrote the intro, the conspiracy cats, and there's a whole 25-second intro that I use every now and then. He wrote that. Do check his channel out. It's blowing up at the minute. It's doing really, really well. So if you can check Geekcraft Studios out, it's well worth watching. And Rusty Shackelford. Much love. Oh, sorry. Your content is gold. Much love from the States. Space Comma. I stopped there because I thought that was another name I recognised, but then I realised it wasn't. I'm seeing a little bit of buffering. But thank you very much, Rusty. Really appreciate that. So, listen.
I can't find anything. I can't find anything on it. I don't know if that's the name. If the name of it is actually Death Company. But someone I did want to mention, Captain Quinn in the chat said The Hill with Sean Connery. That was a bit of a horror. The Hillbilly, that was a war film, and particularly psychologically rough because it's war. But while I could see how you could interpret that, I don't classify that. I consider that a war thriller because you're on the seat of your pants. But it's based upon historical events, so therefore I consider it to be more of a war thriller, not so much a biodrama, but I would consider it horror. Although for some people, war is horror.
Cool. I've just had a bit of a warning light on my analytics. I think YouTube's having a bit of a thing again with the streaming. Hopefully if you're getting buffering, hopefully it'll sort out soon. But for now, I know we've got said we're going to go into Derek's ghost story. Before we do that, how about we watch the second episode of the Flat Earth debate team being the A-team? I don't know if you saw the Baldy Cats video this week in the chat, but if you did, Nathan Oakley yet again got diffraction completely wrong. So just for a little, it's unbelievable. Some of the things he said, he was asking, how do objects diffract? Anyway, objects diffract? And then he was confusing resolution with magnification. It was something to behold. So anyway,
quick correction. He did David Oliver 5 for 5. I believe that's 5 pounds. Sorry, the film is called Death Watch, and yes, Death Watch was a horror film. That was a war horror film. Absolutely, you are correct.
Oh, and Shed Rage High, talking about the intro as well. Amazing live streams as always. Thank you very much. I missed the opening meow on the theme song. Yeah, I need to extend the theme song. Well, what I'll do is I'll play the A-team for everyone. It's not on for that long, so you can see the Flat Earth debate team reprise the roles. The setting of this is that they, at the beginning of the episode, they're just about to get kicked out of the high school science club because they can't explain diffraction. Okay, that's the setting. All right, I will hit start. Enjoy.
If you've got a science problem and you're not really bothered if you get the wrong answer, then maybe you should call the Flat Earth debate team. As Hannibal Smith, it's the Flat Earth debate host Nathan Orky Corky Jokley. As the face man, who else could it be? Only our globe hero himself, Ranty Flat Earth. Only one person could ever fill the boots of Howling Mad Murdoch. Have you guessed? Oh yes, it's our old friend and host of Flat Earth Early Bird, Arwin. B.A. Baracus can only be the Quantum Eraser.
For fuck's sake, man!
If you're not out of here in a half an hour, I'm gonna wreck your trucks, and I'm gonna wreck all your guys.
Okay, Nathan, if I may have your attention for a moment.
But Nathan doesn't want calming down.
You tossers.
And it seems that Quantum Eraser has turned up just to make things worse. And then the inevitable happens.
You don't know what diffraction is?
I couldn't care less!
For fuck's sake, man!
What's diffraction?
The fighting spills over into town and the guns are out, but Ranty Flat Earth keeps them at bay with his petrol bombs.
Oh, no.
After the fight, Nathan goes to a bar to calm his nerves, but it's there where he bumps into his greatest nemesis.
Conspiracy cats.
Oh, hello, Nathan. You still don't know what diffraction is.
That's basic stuff, I think.
Well, you keep getting it wrong every time you talk about it, so I'm going to lock you in until you learn it.
Nathan starts to get worried, but Quantum Eraser has his back.
For fuck's sake, man!
In the resulting fight, Nathan and Quantum Eraser draw upon all their scientific illiteracy to help them get through.
Crayon munching Mr. Magoo. Gravity is not a force!
You don't know what diffraction is?
After the fight, the rest of the gang realise it's about time they told Nathan what they really thought of his scientific ability.
Nathan, you can't describe diffraction.
And Arwin makes his feelings about Nathan clear.
It's just disgusting.
This sends Nathan into complete meltdown as he now realises there's only one question anybody on YouTube will ever ask him again.
What's diffraction? What's diffraction? What's diffraction? What's diffraction?
Oh, friggin' Yaphet Kodo.
So there we go. So if you didn't see the Baldy Cats video this week, you've missed that. And also Nathan singing a song about diffraction. That's on the Baldy Cats channel. It's the latest one. Do you like the A-Team, JL? Is that something you used to watch?
I do. I'm a huge fan of the A-Team. The A-Team gave us Mr. T. It gave us B.A. Baracus, man, and then we turned around and we get to see him, scrape it up with Rocky. So yeah, Yeah, the A-Team was awesome. I grew up watching it. My dad was a big fan of it. And as it turns out, my wife's father, my father-in-law, he's a giant fan of it. My wife grew up watching it. So yeah, the A-Team is awesome. The fact, I mean, come on. Your biggest, baddest dude on the team, and they have to drug him every time they put him on a plane. Yeah. That is inspired writing right there. We gotta knock out the biggest, baddest dude to get him to go anywhere. Wait, we literally an international or clandestine group that goes around. Yeah, we gotta knock the muscle out every time. Yeah, that's pure brilliance right there. That's brilliant.
Rob Tickler says, "I love the A-Team, but." And thank you, Rob. But did anyone ever get shot? For professional soldiers and mercenaries, they were about as good with a gun as stormtroopers, weren't they?
They were awful. They were. Oh my god! I mean, they were terrible. And worse than stormtroopers. That's perfect. Yeah, because bullets like literally did not want to find the A-Team.
No, it's like some kind of magic shield. Right, before we do round 2 of our debate, which I'm very much looking forward to, actually, round 2, we have another ghost story from Derek. Now, Derek, I don't know whether he's had to go to work or whether he's still in the chat, but Derek's going to tell us a story, but he knows that he knows what the reason behind this story was. He figured it out afterwards. So we're going to play his story, and then in the chat, maybe you can decide what you think the cause of it was. What you think the real truth was, and then we'll see who comes the closest, and we'll bob back and see if you're right. So here's Derek's ghost story, and thank you very much, Derek. He stayed up all night to be able to, for this, so thank you. Here we go. Derek, thank you very, very much. I know it's really, really early at your time. So what time is it where you are now?
Right now it's about 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning. I really appreciate you doing this, honestly.
Oh, anytime. Anytime.
Right, so I know you've got a ghost story for us. I will, you know what, I'm just keen to hear it, so I'm just going to shut up and you fire away, mate.
Okay, so this was back in 2006, my college days. Preface that this was taking place during a country cruise. So we were getting high, and we were driving along. We went through a small town. It's called Platteville, middle of nowhere. Got only maybe 50, 60 people that live in it. And we're driving through, going along, and we see these 2 girls that are just walking their bikes. Now, it doesn't seem weird or anything, but the way they looked and the bikes that they were walking along with were just out of date for the time period. So the girls themselves were dressed in more of like 70s style clothing, big burly sweaters, bell bottoms for their jeans. The one girl had short hair, kind of almost permed, with the 70s style aviator glasses. And the bikes they had were the Longhorn style bikes, the long seats. And we drove by them, and as we started coming up closer to them, they decided to stop their walk and just stare at us as we went by. A little freaked out, turn around, come back, gone. Now, there are only 2 streets in this town altogether. It's more of just kind of like a intersection, if that. We went around and we couldn't find them. Nowhere to be seen. And yeah.
That is quite freaky. I can imagine that being like a scene from a horror movie. Well, I'm going to cut to the chat now, and then we're going to see what the chat think about that, and then maybe we'll get you back on later on to see if you ever got to the bottom of that. How's that?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So I think I finished. So if you heard that in the chat and in the comment section, and you want to guess at what the cause of that was. So essentially, driving through this spooky town, seeing people dressed up in period dress with period equipment, and then them just vanishing. If you want to. Should maybe we have our second round of the debate while the chat tag us in and tell us what they think happened, and then we go back and check. What do you think?
Yeah, we certainly can. We certainly can.
So we'll do that. We'll have round 2 of our debate, and I think you won the first one. I didn't want to admit it, but you won the first one. So, but I'm holding
all right.
out a lot of
so
hope
well, okay. As a challenger, do you want to choose what we do next?
I would love to do the worst horror film ever made.
I would love to do
Let's
that.
do it.
Now, because you won the last round, do you want to go first on this one or second on this one?
Let me go first because I actually guess this is a really, really subjective argument, and I could dump all over this movie all day long. But I have a feeling that you're a bit more prepared than I am because I'm going off the cuff. So I'll just go first. I'll get mine out of the way, and then this is the one I'm a little concerned about. So let's find out. Let's see how we do. All right,
off you go, buddy.
Okay, so worst of the worst, horror movies. Arguably a genre filled with some of the worst films you could possibly imagine. Having a horror podcast, I have watched many of these very, very terrible films. I'm talking films that had budgets in the realm of like $5,000 and actually found distribution. I've watched through all of Troma's entire filmography. I've seen some of the worst of the worst. Some of it is laughably bad. Some of it is cringe bad. But there is only one film, that has legitimately put me to sleep. Now, I've had films that have angered me. I have films that were boring. I have had films that were I was like, you know what? I've watched it once. I'm never going to watch it again because it was just terrible. But only one film was so bad across the entire board of everything. The cinematography, the effects, the acting, the everything was so bad. And that was Silent Hill Revelations. So I bring this up because of all the bad ones. Why Silent Hill? Because this is a relatively recent movie. It's not terribly old, and there are much, much older films that are probably bad. But like I said, this is a subjective argument. But the reason I feel that Silent Hill Revelations is the absolute worst film is, number one, complete and total misuse of its characters, or misuse of its actors. So I've never seen Sean Bean bored to be in a film. Sean Bean is one of my favorite actors. He was Ned Stark. He was Boromir. Sean Bean throws himself into every role he does, and you can tell he's got the energy because if you watch Sean Bean very closely, whenever you see him acting, he's always looks like he's kind of trembling a little bit because he's invested, he's involved. I've never seen Sean Bean look so goddamn bored in my entire life throughout an entire movie, staring at a camera, giving lines. And Radha Mitchell, absolutely bored to be in this movie. It's almost felt like a contractual obligation for both of them. They didn't even want the money, but they would be sued if they didn't show up. And then, of course, our beloved Lord Commander, Kit Harington, in the worst role I've ever seen him in. Terrible writing, terrible acting. If you want to see Kit Harington completely foul up a role, watch Silent Hill Revelations. He was boring. He was badly timed. The dialogue was awful, and he did a terrible job of covering up his accent, which was shocking. It's like American is easy. English is going from coming to America should not be difficult. Apparently, it was for Kit Harington. Everybody, and Carrie Ann Moss, completely miscast, completely misplaced. There was no point for her to be in that movie. So acting, all bad across the board. Script, and that goes to the script. The script completely terrible. A lifeless script with absolutely no merit whatsoever. Nothing. It was solely designed for shock value and to pull from the first film as much as possible and just try to keep the whole thing going. Maybe it was a rights issue that they made this movie, but it was god awful. And then of course the set pieces. This movie was presented in 3D, which was so bad. I've never seen a worse 3D film, where everything looked gag-worthy. Friday the 13th, Jason crushed a dude. Friday the 13th Part 3, Jason crushed a dude's head and his eyeball shot at the screen. That was more believable than this film's 3D CGI bullshit. This film was god-awful. It started out decent. The Robbie the Rabbit stuff was kind of creepy, but no. I fell asleep 45 minutes into this movie. I nodded off. I never nod off. You have any idea how much money I've spent at the theaters? You have any idea how many horror movies I've watched in my day? It is unbelievable how many films and I have yet to fall asleep in a theater to a fucking movie. And I fell asleep to this one. I woke up not realizing I'd fallen asleep because the movie was so boring I didn't realize anything had happened. The movie had one saving grace, and that was a very decent depiction of Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head was very, very cool. He looked good in that. There were images that were taken directly from the games, which I thought were pretty decent, but they were not enough to save this because I could have just gone and played a Silent Hill game instead of dropping $18 at the theater to watch this piece of shit that will not even enter into my personal collection just so I can have the sequel. I have over 2,000 movies in my personal collection. This one will never see the inside of that case. And I'm sorry, but this movie was bad. The worst of the worst, because it made me, the horror lover of all horror lovers, fall asleep in the theater. And when I woke up, it was like nothing had happened, because it was still as bad as it was when I fell asleep to it.
Now,
and that is why Silent Hill Revelation is the worst film of all horror films.
well, listen. Right, two things. We have SADGFASDG saying you've already won round 2 because nothing can top that round. I'm gonna try, mate. I'm gonna try to win round 2.
You got to get emotionally involved. You got to get emotionally involved in the subject.
we have 274727. There's some cracking usernames out there saying, have we heard there is a new movie about constipation, but it hasn't come out yet? I like that. I do like that. But my entry into this debate for the worst horror film of all time can only be The Exorcist 2. And I'll tell you why, okay? The Exorcist 2 was not only an unbelievably bad horror film, but it pisses all over the memory of one of the greatest films of all time. If we examine The Exorcist 1, it was dark, it was psychological, it was a slow burner with an excellent payoff. It made you think about it for days after. You know, when you watched it over and over again, you were always seeing, like, you know, new things. And, you know, how many of us have that spider walk stuck in our head, you know, or feel sorry for Merrin when he loses his life at the end. It was such a classic film. And then to make a sequel to that and turn it into basically a comedy is just, to me, unforgivable. Now, some of you might not have seen The Exorcist 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the plot of Exorcist 2. Just to tell you how bad this film is. All right? So if you've seen The Exorcist, you know how amazing that was. This is The Exorcist 2. The Exorcist 2 is set 4 years after the events of The Exorcist, and for some reason, only known to the people who made The Exorcist 2, it took the church 4 years to even decide to bother to question what happened to Father Merrin. And they sent this guy here, all right? His name begins with an L. I can't even remember. It was that long ago. It was horrendous. I'm going to call him Father Lamborghini, right? Who cares? So Father Lamborghini has to go out to find what's happened to Merrin, so he bumps into Reagan. Now, Reagan, where do we think Reagan is? Well, she's in the Matrix in a mental ward. She's in a mental ward where, I swear to God, I'm not lying, they've invented a machine that plugs people into the Matrix so they can share each other's consciousness. All right? Just look into my eyes for a second. I am not making this shit up. This actually happened. Okay? She's there with a machine she can put on her head. And this woman here, right, is her doctor. And they strap this machine to their heads. And they can have some kind of shared vision, shared dream, or something like it's the Matrix, right? Sci-fi technology is so unbelievable now, let alone, 4 years after the original Exorcist came out. But what happens is that the woman gets accosted by whatever demon is stealing Reagan because despite how good the first film was, Father Merrin's complete sacrifice and the other priest's sacrifice are in vain because they didn't actually exorcise her. She's still possessed. So they just, again, piss all over the first film. So she's still possessed, and this woman here who straps on some kind of Matrix type thing is in some shared vision with her and gets in trouble. Just in time for the priest to come and decide he was going to put on the headset and save her. So when he puts on this Matrix-style headset to save the woman who is in some kind of trouble because she shared a dream with Reagan, while he's in there, Oh, sorry, yeah. He manages to save her, and then after that, Reagan starts drawing some pretty weird photographs. Okay? That's not a photograph, sorry. That's a picture. She starts drawing some pretty weird pictures. This one tells Father Lamborghini that there's going to be a fatal fire. And when he finds the fire, it's an innocent fire in a box. But instead of putting it out by, getting a fire extinguisher or putting a coat over it, he, honest to God, right? And look again at my eyes when he picks up a wooden flammable crutch and beats the box with it rather than just put the fire out with a blanket. Doing that spreads the fire all over the underside of the hospital, and they've got to evacuate the hospital, right? At that point, he decides that he's going to go and share Reagan's dream world and try and exorcise her from the inside, right? And when he does that, he sees a giant, all I can describe is a giant flying locust, which makes him decide he wants to go to Africa. And when he goes to Africa, he sees the voice of Mufasa wearing a locust hat. I am not kidding. Darth Vader wearing a flipping locust hat. And Darth Vader turns out to be a doctor who convinces him he's got to go back and exorcise Reagan properly. So when he comes back, the exorcism scene consists of Reagan swatting locusts away from her face with her hand. And that pretty much completes the exorcism. And I don't know what to say. They take the best film of all time. They retcon the ending of it. They turn it into a comedy, which is a mixture also of The Matrix and Inception. And it's just the biggest shit show I've ever seen of all time. Exorcist 3 was alright, and it completely ignored Exorcist 2. But there we go. So that's what I think. So that was also a rant. Got to get passionate. Turn that off now.
That's exactly how you do it right then and there. That's the passion you bring to it. We in Week in Horror will always give credit where it's due. We'll always say getting a movie in the can is one of the hardest things to do in the world. From start to finish, from concept to can is beyond difficult. Anybody who's been involved in the process, I've been on on major budget films, I've been on little indie films, and I've actually been in several movies that have never seen the light of day because they never got finished, because resources run out, hardware breaks down. You never know what's going to happen. Getting it in the can is hard, and I will applaud anyone for getting a movie in the can, but then after that applauding, I will shit on that movie if that thing is a piece of crap, or does even worse, like Exorcist 2 dishonors its predecessor. What is that?
Yeah.
Like how? Yeah. Even Human Centipede didn't dishonor its even the Human Centipede 2 didn't dishonor its predecessor.
That movie
was worse than the first one. It was worse than the first one, but even they understood. You don't shit on where you don't shit where you came from. You don't.
No, you don't.
Do not shit where you eat.
Well, I think we both presented arguments that we felt strongly about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play Derek's explanation. So if you were listening 10 minutes ago, Derek gave us a ghost story where he saw people dressed in period dress as he drove through a spooky town. Mm-hmm. When he turned around, these people had vanished. Some of you have suggested what might have happened in the chat. I certainly caught one. I'm going to give you his explanation. This is his answer. While you listen to the explanation, if you type an E in the chat for Exorcist 2 as being the worst, or what letter for Silent Hill? Should we have an S for Silent Hill 2? Or Silent Hill Revelation, sorry. So type an E or an S for the worst one as I played Derek's explanation. Here we go. Right, so Derek, welcome back. We heard your ghost story not so long ago. You do say that you've managed to figure out what was going on. It certainly sounded quite spooky, but what did you find out?
So we were driving around through this little area. Mind you, like I said, it's only 2 streets, so it didn't take us too long to really figure out what this was, maybe about 15 minutes. But there was a party going on at one of the houses, and they were having a decade party, and they were celebrating the 70s. So the little girls were dressed up as 70s children, and they were walking over to the party at that time. We ended up figuring out because there was a couple that was leaving, and the gentleman had a full-on leisure suit, The lady had her hair permed out real crazy, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, but at the time, scary.
I can imagine. Did you end up getting a wangling an invite to the party afterwards, or?
No, unfortunately not. No.
Miserable buggers. All right. Well, that is brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And I wonder if anyone in the chat managed to get that as the answer. Right, so Derek, welcome back. We heard your ghost story.
Nope. You bring up slides and you show silly shit from the movie. We go win.
We did it. We just with the clips finished. So yeah, I think I've leveled that at 1 apiece, but I'm not going to win the decider. I know that. Yeah, the Exorcist won. Just want to. I don't know what these stickers are. How do people do that? Anyway, Hand of R. Thank you very much. He's managed to do a sticker of a chicken lifting weights. I'm not sure how that works, but thank you very much. Right. So
I think in the super chats you have an option to do stickers or to do actual like text, and so that was a sticker that they threw you.
Ah, brilliant! Right, well we've got oh my word, we've got so much left to get through. I don't know. I certainly want to hear Derek's second story because that's a belter. Is Derek's second story and the explanation? Should we maybe dip into? We've got to do our third debate. Should we dip into some of the clips that we had just to chat about?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm excited about this part. It's showing people these events. I do dig, despite the fact I'm a skeptic. I look at these things from an objective standpoint. I enjoy watching paranormal clips or what people think are paranormal clips, not because I'm trying to debunk them, but because it's imagination. This is really, really cool stuff. You imagine what people saw when they were in that moment. They're standing there. They must have been scared out of their minds. We're just watching it from a video and be like, nah, that's probably fake. But I love putting myself in their shoes and being like, what was it like being in this little space and seeing something either out of the corner of your eye, or maybe you didn't even see it. Maybe you didn't even see it until you went back and watched the camera and realized that you weren't alone. So stuff like that just gets me. So yeah, let's do it.
I love it. I mean, I'm the same as you. I mean, I'm a skeptic for lots of things, but I love listening to things like Jim Harold's Campfire or Jim Harold's Paranormal Podcast, Coast to Coast AM. Every now and then someone will come on and they'll be talking about something that's not too wacky and out there, and you'll think, oh, I wonder what that's, But they do have some pretty out there guests. Anyway, what clip do you want to start with? Oh, thank you very much, Brainer Yuri. Another sticker as well. So yeah,
there you go.
Cool. I don't know what a SEK is. What's an SEK?
I just remember that the team calls them sex dollars.
Sex dollars.
He just calls them sex dollars. I don't know what that. I'm not sure what it actually
is. That's the most sex I've had for a long time. Thank you very much.
Two things I want to address real quick before we jump to that. So Call of the Void. You did mention that you felt bad for the girl that was in The Exorcist. Now that was Linda Blair, played Regan in that film. Nothing actually bad. Now, while the set of The Exorcist was plagued by a lot of very, very screwed up things. Ellen Barkin almost was paralyzed in an accident that hurt her back. There were fires that would spontaneously break out. I wrote an article on cursed film, like supposedly cursed films. The Exorcist was on that, of all the crazy stuff that happened during the making and premiere of that movie. But Linda Blair was relatively unharmed. Linda Blair, nothing really bad happened to her. I think what you might be referring to is Poltergeist, which is another supposedly cursed film. But the little girl in that, she did Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3. Her name was Heather O'Rourke. She actually was born and raised in San Diego, same time as I was. And she'd be a little bit younger than me today. But yeah, Heather O'Rourke. No, she might have been a little bit older if she had survived. But yeah, she passed away when I believe she was 12 from an undiagnosed from a misdiagnosed bowel condition, and she died very, very early, which was a shame. But that's the only young actress I can think of that something tragic happened to, other than the voice of Ducky from the Land Before Time. That was also a very, very tragic, sad story of what happened to a very young, very talented young actress. She was the Kat, you might remember, she was the voice of Anne Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, I'm familiar with that film. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, she was. Burt Reynolds was the voice of the dog. Dom DeLuise was the voice of the other dog, and this little girl was the voice of Anne Marie. She was also the voice of Ducky in The Land Before Time. Very, very talented little actress, and unfortunately her father was not all together, and he flipped out, and it was a very tragic scenario. But I think Call of the Void might be referring to Heather O'Rourke from Poltergeist. And the other one is The Legend of Boggy Creek. That was a creepy little film, and also creeped me out when I saw it when I was young. And I dug the 80s were fantastic for not pulling punches with kids. Is that nowadays we gotta cushion everything, and we have to make sure everything is appropriate for a particular age type. But in the 80s, fuck no, man. Flight of the Navigator had some scary ass shit in it.
Oh, yeah,
It
great
really
film.
did. Flight of the Navigator had some creepy stuff. The movies like that I thought were brilliant, where they didn't pull punches with kids, where they treated kids like they were smart. They treated kids like they could understand things. And when we saw these things, they knew that kids would have questions, and it engaged parents to be with their kid, to explain things to them. Now, unlike my father, who basically, at 7 years old, set me down in front of Aliens and Big Trouble in Little China and, The Exorcist and stuff like that. So, yeah, I got a different upbringing as most, but I loved 80s films for doing. There were so many creepy kids movies that would just blow your mind. And Legend of Boggy Creek was one of them. That was a creepy movie.
You're right. There were some absolute classics, weren't there? There really were. I could talk about them for... I'm going to say you could make a whole show about that, but you have. You've got your... And the link is in the description. Week in Horror Podcast. Get over there. Click on it.
It's what we do. It's what we do. We cover it all. You name it. If it has horror in it, we cover it. You should see a little inside information. I had to create a horror film database of films and birthdays and in memoriams for basically all of Hollywood. This sucker, I have at least, I think, 4 films for every single day, because we talk about films chronologically of when they released that week. So I have a film. I think I have like 4 or 5 films for every single day of the year that I have compiled just by researching, things I know and just deep diving. I have my 3 hours a week that I just sit in front of the computer. I just deep dive horror films and just get their dates and get the information. And then most of them I've seen, but most of them like really really old stuff, going back all the way to 1898 with House of the Devil, going all the way forward to 2020 with the movies that are coming out today. So it's been a blast. I wish I could show it to you. It's enormous. But with birthdays too, and in memoriams, people that we can't forget, like director Todd Browning and the effects that they've had on the genre. So all kinds of stuff. So if you're a filmmaker, definitely check us out. If you're a horror fan, definitely check us out. If you really like me and you're entertained by what I do, give us a look.
And also a good debate as well. I mean, we have had you on Agree to Disagree, debating creation. We'll have to get you back on. You debated the creationist last time, weren't you? Which was a landslide victory.
Oh yes, a bit of orange was a weird that was a strange one, and I think it went off the rails with my intro. I think my intro, because my intention was I was going to box him in my intro, just so I was going to trap him and see where he goes. I wanted to, at that point, because this is, the position is objectively false. His position is objectively false. So that was just basically about putting the mouse in the maze and letting see if he can figure out his way out of it. And that was more entertaining.
It was good. It was good. I might put that in the description, actually, link to that debate when we're done. But you now get to choose which clip you want to start with. You've seen all the clips.
Whoa.
We've all seen which one do you want to start with, and we will have a debunk.
And the ones that I found for you, or the ones that you found, does it matter?
You get to choose. You just choose of all the clips, yours or mine. You choose which one you want to go with.
Let's go ahead and go with the ones that I found, because I've watched them multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with the ones that I sent to you, because you've cut them so that they're bite-sized and people can check them out. And I've got my theories as to what was going on. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I think that people really dig these, because some of them are kind of creepy.
Okay, so here we go. The first one you sent me, I did find a slightly extended version of it. Obviously, you know what's coming up. And then, people in the chat, let's see what you think of this. Is only a short little clip, but here we go. And there we go. So, on board a ship, ghostly woman walking through a wall. It's quite a famous little bit of footage now. It's always on the... well, it's just quite a famous bit of footage. What do you think of that, JL?
Okay, so this was pretty prototypical. You see ghost footage, and typically there are objects that are moving off to the side. You usually catch them peripherally. So that was the first thing that kind of like got my skeptic hairs up, was that this is one of those events where it's like, oh, I'm looking over here and I just happen to catch something out of the side of my eye. 9 times out of 10, from what I've heard, just from what I've seen and what I've read, is that typically those tend to be staged. Is that it's always just briefly in the corner of your eye. No one ever sees anything straight up head on. No one ever sees anything like materialize out of nothing. It's always, blink and you miss it stuff. It's like, oh, what was that? And then we slow the footage down, and then we get something creepy because the footage is slowed down. And when the footage is slowed down, you don't get your classic movements. But if you do watch this film, if you do watch this clip enough, and you see it enough, the thing that really sets it out is that the ghost has a shadow. There's a shadow underneath the ghost. Yes, that the shadow, as it's walking by, you can see the shadow move. You can see the shadow of her feet as she steps.
Let's see. I'm going to play this one more time from the chat. So the so-called ghost, shadow underneath her feet. Let's have a look. It's difficult. Maybe I could have zoomed in a little bit better, but I think there is. I think you're right. I mean, yeah, I'll be amazed if that is anything other than a setup.
Yeah,
but it's a well done one.
It's not bad. It's not bad. And the one that are we live?
Oh yeah, we're back. We're back. Yeah.
Oh, okay, we are back. So, and the one thing that gets me, the one thing that really got me was, you're in this spot. Imagine you're the filmmaker, and we all want evidence of something. So you're the filmmaker. You're there. You catch this. You happen to glimpse this thing. Go after it. This thing just passed by, and it's supposedly not there. Supposedly a ghost. Why was he not trucking down that hallway and turning right to show us that the figure, disappeared or vanished? Because there was supposedly no exit there. They just walked by. Well, run down there. Show us that. Yeah. It's very much, and I hate, and I'm not going to compare. It's going to sound unfair, like I'm comparing paranormal investigators to flat earthers, but keep filming, keep shooting. You claim the boat doesn't go over the curve, yet you cut away before we know what happens. So the boat does go over the curve, but you just said no. See, it's just really far away. Let's look over here at this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Keep watching, because that's Professor Dave. He's the one that said that. Don't cut away. Keep watching, and you will see. Now, because you don't want to see it, or because you so desperately in paranormal situations. Someone in the chat mentioned, if you want to believe in the paranormal, if you want to believe it, your brain will fill in the gaps to make it true.
Yeah,
it will make it reality for you. One of the best examples is earlier, Kat and I were talking about the failings of human empiricism, how our bodies are just terrible for observing the world by comparison to many other things on this planet. One of the things that's really, really wonky about your eyes, I invite anybody to go ahead and check this out. This is really, really cool. Is that if you keep your head stationary in one spot like this, and you track your eyes across, don't move your head, just track your eyes. There are moments when you're tracking your eyes, because of the way our optical nerves are wired. They're wired like we're fucking designed. But someone's gonna jump on that. But the way our optic nerves are attached to our eyeballs. As your eyes track, there are moments that you don't see, but actually occur where you go blind, where your vision actually cuts out. It's very, very quick, and you don't see it. The reason why don't I see it? I'm tracking very slowly. I don't see my eyes doing this. The reason that happens is because your brain is filling in the information from your memory from what you saw before and what you saw after. And it creates the image in your mind. If you want to believe something bad enough, you will see it. Just like I think one of the best photos, if you go into my bathroom, the way that the painting was done in my bathroom when we bought this house, I didn't want to change it because it's this weird, crazy patterns of blue and gray that kind of filter together. And there's the texturing on the walls. The pareidolia in my bathroom is so wild. You look long enough in that thing, you will see faces. I've seen baby faces. I've seen demon faces. I've seen dragons. I've seen dogs. I've seen clouds. I've seen all kinds of shit. I'll just sit in my bathroom and just look at the walls. That's why I didn't want to change it because I never know what I'm going to see. But it's all pareidolia because your brain wants to make patterns. Your brain wants to understand things. It doesn't like unexplained shit. The four corners, you've all seen it, the optical illusion of the four corners, and your brain fills in the gaps to make it a square.
It does. I mean, when I'm teaching the optic nerve at school and the blind spot, etc. I mean, there's all like little illusions you can do. I'm sure everybody's done it where they draw a cross and a circle on a piece of paper, cover one eye, etc. And you can see that. Yeah, you bring it close and one of them disappears, but your brain fills in the gap with whatever colour of the paper you've drawn it on because it's making its best guess, isn't it? It's making its best estimate of what probably is there. But it's showing you obviously something that isn't.
One of the coolest ones I saw on social media was it was a negative image. It was like basically you took a picture and you were looking at the negative, and then there were 3 colored dots in the very center, very small. And you stare at those dots for about 30 seconds, and then look away, and then just blink your eyes really fast. You'll actually see the image in color. As you blink your eyes. Yeah, it's just our eyes are great, but our eyes are very complex, but they are terrible in the way that they are wired. I mean, any bird has better eyes than us. The wiring of their eyes is far superior. It's because birds have had hundreds of millions of years to evolve into what they are today. Whereas humans, we've had maybe 2-3 million years at most. Us Homo sapiens only about 250,000. So yeah, we're terrible. We're awful. I can't wait to see what we'll look like in 2 million years when we'll be awesome. But nowadays we suck. We're terrible for observing shit, which is why we have glasses because I can't see shit without my glasses.
Brilliant. David Oliver says, I've got a feeling this is a quote from a film, so you're going to have to help me on this one. In fact, if you know the film, it might be better you reading it because you probably know the accent that he wants us to read it in. Something to be the Skeksis from Dark Crystal. Oh, it's from Dark Crystal.
The Skeksis from Dark Crystal were scary as F. And yes, you are correct. When I first saw the Skeksis when that movie came out, because made by the same company that made Labyrinth, it was the Jim Henson company. But we want your essences, yes!
Oh, that's what it was it?
So, and the Skeksis were really, really freaky. And it was so funny because we have a running joke in the house because I love Dark Crystal and I'll watch it, but it always puts my wife to sleep because she can't get past the mystics at the beginning. Going, and it just puts her to sleep. And so that's her night movie. If she wants to go to sleep, she puts on Dark Crystal.
Oh, there we go. Well, thank you very much, David Oliver, for that. Right, I'm going to choose a clip now. I'm going to choose.
Yes.
I think we both know the clip I'm going to choose from the British show Most Haunted. And if you are British, you will already know what clip this is going to be. But if you're not, you might be surprised. So Most Haunted was a camera crew. I'm sure you got similar shows in America where they go around and they film in haunted locations and they bring a psychic with them who more often than not gets possessed by the spirit of a ghost. So let's see him about to be possessed.
Not because, basically, I know the name Robert walks round, and I know Mary does, but there's this peace and calm of spiritual activity there with... You alright? Alright. What is it, Derek? You alright?
So there we go. I think nobody said it yet in the chat. We'll give them a couple of seconds. What do we think the possessed man is going to say next? He's been possessed by a woman called Mary. What are the next words out of his mouth going to be? as a possessed man? Let's have a look. In fact, there's a bit of a delay, so hopefully they'll... there's a bit of a delay.
Yes, throw out there, yes, Sightings was a great show. Sightings was a fun show to watch.
Sightings, I've heard of that, but it's not one I've seen. I think I need to get that one one watched. Nobody's... Hads has got it. Hi, Ranty, how are you doing? Said boo. Right, let's see what Murray said. One person's got it. Did you predict this? Is this a clip you'd seen in America, JL, or?
No, I actually hadn't. Yeah, I hadn't seen it until you showed it to me. And
well, here's what Mary said.
Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. That's it.
Well, there we go. That's what Mary said. I didn't... So, does this need debunking? Was that a real... haunting?
No, absolutely not. That was not. The dude is absolutely ridiculous. John Edwards, speaking to the dead was better than this dude here. So no, that was, and the fact that come on, Mary loves Dick. I mean, come on, dude, really? It's like even the people around him knew that was bunk.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that because if we're going to try and debunk it, if you like. Whoever was filming that was on a live show, and when they cut away to the historians, someone carried on filming and then released what happened afterwards, which kind of gave the game away that this so-called possessed man might not have actually been possessed at all.
The best bit of that was Mary loves Dick. Fuck me! I could not stop laughing. And she protects him. She covers him up.
Well, I thought I had the piece together there about when he went, Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick.
Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick.
No.
That was so bloody funny.
You were like that.
Don't tell me that was intentional.
It's Derek win the £20.
Yeah.
Dick, and I'm like,
the best bit of that.
I almost fell out of my chair.
Oh, but we're back live. We're back live. Mary loves Dick. Oh man. So that was my first clip because that was easy to debunk. You've got. I'm just trying to think time wise. We're not going to go on for too long. We've got Gary to bring on in the chat to answer the questions about his alleged haunted house he wants to talk about. We have Derek's next story that we definitely want to show. So let's. We've got our third round of the debate. So before we do that, do you maybe want to choose another one of your clips and we'll talk about that and then we'll get.
Actually, yes, I would. The one I want to look at is the one in the cemetery. I think that one was an excellent example of excellent example of what we're going to look at. I think one of the more popular ones. So
okay,
definitely check that one out.
So the one in the cemetery. Let me see if I can find it. Do you happen to know the number of the clip it was?
Let me actually pull. I've got it. 2 seconds. No, that was the ladder. Clip 5.
Clip 5. Before we do that, yes. Penguin95, thank you very much, says it would have been better if her name was Fanny.
Fanny loves Dick. Oh!
Here we go. Clip number 5. So our next clip to debunk.
Pretty fast, yeah.
Okay, so I let that run a few times because it was only a short one and it's pretty quick. Interesting, though. Interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yes, so I I actually dig these ones. I really, really like these ones because they're the easiest to try and for the brain to try and fill in the gaps of what it might be. Now, we had a couple, there's a couple of things if you're looking at it objectively. One, the person is in a graveyard at night looking for ghosts. So he'll try to find one. Two, graveyards are not typically lit at night because they're typically closed up and there's not like they have streetlights everywhere. So his camera was the only light around. And so single light illuminating this one small area in the middle of the graveyard, which is outside at night. And of course, when you're outside, what else is outside with you? Bugs are outside with you. And if you are the only light source other than the moon, especially if you're a bright light like on a camera, you will attract things flying at the camera. And this is absolutely, I would put paychecks down on it. This is what the camera caught. Now, with cheaper cameras, the frame rates don't pick up insects, especially when they're flying, very well, because the way that the camera reacts to something coming at the aperture or coming at the lens with that quick, the camera tries to autofocus and adjust and tries to capture that. But if you have a low quality cam, it cannot do it fast enough. So you actually get stilted, stuttering images like this, where you basically get the light reflecting off of the moth, which is what I think this is. The moth's wings will actually cause a scattering effect and look like something spectral moving at it. But if this was a super high quality camera, it was like something high def, then you would actually see the moth coming in and fly past the light. And it may have been even a small moth. It could have even been a gnat that was maybe moving around. But I think it was a moth. But yeah, I love videos and images like this because they always look super, super cool. There's a famous one of a car that looks like it has an angel above the car. Like legit looks like an angel. It was captured on a night video or captured on a deal. I think it was by a car accident. And I think the car had been in a car accident. Someone took a picture of the car, and then there was like an angel, and they're like, "Oh, this great angel over the car." It's like, well, it's weird because why would the angel be over the car if you're already out and you've survived the accident? It doesn't make any sense. But if you turn the image on its side, like because you look at here's the car and then here's the angel above it. If you actually turn it on its side or upside down, you can see the pattern of the wings, and it was a moth they caught in the perfect moment.
Wow!
You couldn't replicate it if you tried. A moth happened to fly through and caught the image right then and there. Oh, it's an angel. It's like, no, it's a bug.
They do look awesome though. They do. I've seen quite a few things like that, and they do look interesting. But sometimes when I'm filming my videos, I get people commenting saying, "Oh, you've got orbs behind you or something," and I've just got a bit of dust or something flying in front of the camera lens, and it catches the light that you've got lighting your face up. And when you actually see it on screen, you think, "Oh, that's quite a striking image as it just flies." Or especially if it goes just past the camera lens,
Yeah.
They can be pretty.
When they happen on security cameras, tend to be very, very cheap. So like exterior security cameras, they catch crap. Like they catch not only things flying at or flying by, like bugs flying by, but they catch orbs. Because the way dust particulates in the air reflect light can make them look very, very trippy. And they look like, oh, it's an orb going by. It's like, no, it's a piece of dust that's flying in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Because the aperture can't open wide enough in order to let enough light in to ascertain exactly what it is. So it's pretty simple. Actually, someone, Count Druncula, love that. That's great. I don't have a link readily available to that particular clip, but if you email me weekinhorror@gmail.com, I'll be more than happy to actually send you that clip so you can actually do some freeze frame and do some fun camera work on it if you'd like.
Cool. Right. So I'm just thinking, before we have the next round of our debate, should we go to Derek's second story, and then while we're having the debate, people can have a think in the chat what the explanation for his ghost story might be, and then we can hear that after you beat me in the decider. So, because there's no way I'm going to win this.
Right, well, my story, it's...
Sorry, that's me not being able to use OBS properly. Derek, thank you very much for your story. Okay, that's me doing it again. Sorry. I'll get this right. Derek's second story. Here we go. Derek, welcome back for your second ghost story of the evening. I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm just going to shut up and hand over to you. Off you go, sir.
Okay, so this is actually during a job of mine. I work as a private security contractor and investigator. So we do a lot of different kinds of things, investigations, obviously, but we protect people, protect buildings and everything. And we were protecting a site that had a lot of work going on. Now, mind you, we still do work there now, but at the time there was a few incidents of people climbing to the top of their parking garage, which was about 6-7 stories high, and jumping off. Now, during this time is when they decided to bring us in. We found out that while doing this, though, there was a lot of issues that the cleaning staff was having, where lights were flickering, doors that were meant to be magnetically locked would just open on their own. The cleaning staff, when they would leave at the end of the night, a lot of times they said they would hear a woman screaming throughout the parking garage, deafening, really loud, could not figure out what it was. And we brought ourselves in, brought cameras in and everything. And sure enough, we heard screaming. Doors were opening and closing, lights flickering on and off throughout the entire building, not just the garage. It was a pretty crazy event overall.
That does sound. I'm just trying to think now what possibly the cause of that could be. I've absolutely no idea. I'm going to pass it over to the chat though, to see if they can figure it out, and we'll get back to you later. But that's a belter. Thank you.
Good luck, chat.
And there we go. Just finished. And that was good timing, Jail. Managed to nip out to the shops, get a drink, come back in time. That was pretty fast, mate.
Oh, that is rubbish.
What you on?
Okay.
What is it?
I typically drink Diet Coke, but my wife is really into microbrews. This is from the Martin House Brewing Company in Fort Worth, Texas. This is a raspberry sour ale, and made in Texas. And yeah, that's rubbish.
Right.
Maybe it'll grow on me. I'll keep going after it. I'm gonna finish it. I'm not gonna leave it sitting here, but I'll never leave a beer undrank. But
well, I'm gonna have a few later on. While I watch the boxing, I'm looking forward to that. And a horror film. We're gonna watch Hereditary tonight with the eldest. So I don't know much about it. So we're going in cold. But the ghost story of the hour is Derek's second ghost. I like that one. We'll come to what the answer was in a second. Derek was very articulate, and everything he said there, I genuinely believe he saw when he was in there. From the conversation with him, I genuinely believe that he was hearing the woman screaming. I genuinely believe that doors were popping open, and these security doors and lights flickering on and off. I couldn't figure out what his explanation was, so it's going to be interesting to hear. But you tag us in the chat and tell us what you think the explanation is, while JL Warren kicks my ass. And this is just not what I'm going to win. Do you want to introduce the last round, mate, the decider that I'm going to get absolutely humped in?
Sure, absolutely. So, in the classic vein of the Bloodbath debate, we are, at Week in Horror, we are currently up to Bloodbath 12. So it's been a wild ride, but we started off the Bloodbath tradition with the classic debate of who would win in a fight to the death, Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. The Haddonfield slasher versus that Camp Crystal Lake killer. I know who I took. I will be defending Jason Voorhees in this fight, and the Battle of the Mute Brutes, and Conspiracy Cats will be taking the Haddonfield, the boogeyman, the shape himself, the Haddonfield slasher, Michael Myers. This is no fight. If you want, Cats, I'll just jump right into mine. Do you want me to?
You crack on, mate.
All right. So, of all the mass slashers of the 80s, yes, we give credit where credit is due. John Carpenter came out with Halloween in 1978. It was a smash hit. It was one of the seminal slashers. But it was Friday the 13th that gave us Mrs. Voorhees. Friday the 13th Part 2 gave us Jason. And Jason Voorhees has become one of the most greatest recognized pop culture horror icons around the world. The Battle of the Mute Brutes, these two individuals, big, huge, masked, they don't talk, all they do is kill. But it comes down to who would win in a fight. If these two threw down with each other, who would take it home eventually? And it used to be questionable. We could probably throw it up in the air, but not anymore. Thank you to David Gordon Green and to Danny McBride and to Jason Blum from Blumhouse Productions for giving Jason the edge. Number one, Jason is not human. As from Jason 6, from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and on, Jason is technically classified as an undead revenant. And a revenant is a spirit or a reanimated entity that cannot be destroyed until its mission is completed. We should be familiar with things with the same kind of tale from The Crow. The only way to harm a revenant permanently is either through ritualistic magic or by destroying the thing that the revenant is bound to. You can't really destroy Camp Crystal Lake that well because it's a massive lake, and Jason is stuck around. That's why Jason always goes back to the lake. He's supernaturally bound there to kill anyone who trespasses in that area. He is not natural. He is inhuman. He is supernatural by definition, whereas Michael Myers, unfortunately, is not. Michael Myers is a human being. Yeah, he's big, he's buff, he can kill with the best, but he unfortunately is just a man. Because ever since the 2018 Halloween came out, all the Halloweens from 2 through 9, 2, Season of the Witch, Return of Michael Myers, Revenge of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection, none of them count anymore. So all of Michael Myers' supernatural origins are gone. It literally, the canon from now on simply goes from 1 to the new one. That's it. Michael Myers is just a big, dangerous human being who can be hurt, who can be damaged, who can be shot with guns and killed, and he can die just like anybody else. Whereas, unfortunately, Jason Voorhees, he regenerates, he can't be destroyed, and even if blown to pieces, will find his way back. That's the benefit of being supernatural. Second, more films. People love Jason more than they love Michael Myers. Why? Because Jason gets creative. Jason allows people to laugh as much as he scares people. The laughter in horror is as important as screams, and that is because laughter is a catharsis. Yes, Michael Myers is gritty. Michael Myers is realistic. Michael Myers allows people to be scared, but we have to have some sort of way to vent that fear, and we do it through the laughs. And how does Jason make us laugh? Through the most creative kills in all of horror. Step aside, Freddy Krueger. Jason gets the gold medal for improvisational murder by killing by killing people for everything he can set his hands on, from a corkscrew to a butcher knife to a weed eater to a fucking party horn. He has smoked people with these things, and they are always delightful to watch. And of course, the head crush is always a really, really good one too, that we mentioned before. But more films, more popularity. The people just want more Jason. And all this talk of Danny McBride and company bringing back Halloween has simply made people clamor more for more Halloween, for more Friday the 13th. As we know now that Jason Blum, who resurrected Halloween, will be resurrecting Friday the 13th as well. We don't know how, we don't know when, but it's going to be awesome. And last but not least, ultimately, Jason is. I don't even know if I have a third one. I was going to go in a third direction, but I don't think I need to. Supernatural, unkillable, regenerating, improvisational weaponry technique. Yeah, Jason takes the cake. Sorry, Michael, you're a big, bad, dangerous man, but your focus is too small. Because that was it. Because as far as kills go, you only measure up until a little over 100. I think it's 112, 113 last I checked. And a dog. Who kills a dog? Yeah, you're a big scary guy, but who does that? Now, when you want to be top notch, numero uno, Jason Voorhees with over 300 kills to his name across all of his movies, and that's not including all the people on that space station that he might have destroyed in Jason X. So it could number up into the thousands, but we'll give it about 300 kills. Yeah, and he just keeps coming back for more. So sorry, Michael, you take the second place in the Battle of the Mute Brutes.
Right. Just let me think about my response. Okay, I've thought. Right. Okay. Again, I'm not going to win this if we talk about who can win in a fight. between the two of them, which was the topic of the debate. So I'm going to debate and pretend that the topic of the debate was something different, and then maybe I might trick some people into voting for me, because there's no way I can win. Certainly Jason is far stronger, far more powerful. Michael Myers is just a man. Although Jason isn't invulnerable, I do believe that he can be killed by a member of his own bloodline, unless that's no longer canon. My argument is as simple as this. Which is the greatest horror character? Which is the person that's going to make you, when you've seen the film, wake up the next day and be thinking about them? Now, we all love a good film with a monster in it and a good flick with, vampires and whatnot. And Jason certainly falls into the category of being supernatural and a monster. But that's fine when we're watching it, but the next day when we get up and we're walking around, we're not really thinking about monsters and stuff, because they don't leave an impression on us other than within that 90 minutes or 2 hours that we're watching a film, because that's where monsters belong. They belong in films. But what JL thinks Michael's biggest weakness is actually his biggest strength. Michael Myers is just a man. He's just a man. And when you wake up the next morning and you've seen a film about a man who can be so cold and emotionless and calculating, and you realise that those people are out there, then that lives with you. All right, that you're going to walk around and think, God, those people are absolutely great. That's why films like Deliverance are so stick in the mind, because these people could actually be out there. Right? Nobody talks about Dracula at 9 o'clock in the morning, but you might say, "Oh, I'm not going into Burnley because it could be like Deliverance." And I don't know why I use Burnley. Sorry if you're from Burnley, it was a joke. Right? I just, to me, Michael Myers is going to live with you because he is real and he's cold and he's calculating, and that to me makes him more horrific as a character than any monster you could use. So ignoring the fact the question was who could win in a fight, we'll pretend that wasn't the question. That's going to be my argument. So while you vote in the chat, if you put, if you want Jason to win, type Michael, and if you want Michael to win, type Mike. Or maybe Jason for Jason. I will play Derek's.
Yeah, you do have home field advantage. I'll give you that.
There's no way I can win this one. No way. I will play.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's.
Interject. I have to address something real fast. So, someone said if you consider the Friday the 13th, the new film that was executive produced by Michael Bay, if you consider that film, that technically both characters are not supernatural anymore, and you would be right, except for the rules of moviedom, because the new Halloween is a direct sequel to the first film, which concludes that Michael Myers is still a man. But the Friday the 13th remake, the one that came out in 2009, that unfortunately was classified as a direct reboot. So we have two different Jasons. We have the Jason from the new reboot film, which went nowhere because nobody wanted to see that Jason, and the Jason from the original, from the first 10 films, technically 11 if you count Freddy versus Jason. That is the undead monstrosity that keeps coming back. So unfortunately, we're talking about the one with 11 films under his belt, not the one with one film under his belt, not a part of the actual continuity, because it is technically a reboot of that, and then it will be rebooted again. And fortunately, I hope that Blumhouse will go to the original stuff. But either way, sorry, undead, supernatural.
I think you are going to win. I'm just going to read this super chat from David Oliver. Thank you very much. Before the vote comes in and you destroy me. Who would win, Jason versus Chucky? Be prepared for a Peter Griffin versus the chicken fight. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, of all the bloodbaths we did, one of the fun ones, and it was actually one that I lost, was Chucky versus the Leprechaun. And I took Chucky in that, and I believe it was Alex who took the Leprechaun. And he actually managed to snake that out. I thought I could win that one, but yeah, that was a fun little because obviously two magically imbued creatures, one's voodoo magic, one's leprechaun magic, and thinking about Warwick Davis and fighting that fucking doll was just hilarious to me. So, but yeah, that was a fun. We've done all kinds of cool. Like I said, we're up to 12 bloodbath debates. I think the most recent one we did was the Winchester brothers versus the Salvatore brothers.
Oh, good call.
So supernatural versus the Vampire Diaries. So we did that. But we done a bunch of cool stuff. I think the Creeper versus Pumpkinhead was a really fun one. But yeah, check them out. They're all on our Anchor page, or Spotify, Google, Apple. You can check them all out there. Yeah. And we made them ad free because those are technically bonus episodes to the After Darks, and that you don't have to listen to any ads. They're right there ready for you.
And again, link in the description. Right, the vote was in. Ranty says I vote for the Rumpus, which I don't. I quite like. We will get to Derek's explanation. If you remember, before we listened to Derek, the first part of his second story, where he said he was he was investigating like a building that had screaming sounds, like there was a woman screaming, but nobody could find out who it was. Doors were opening that shouldn't be opening. These magnetically locked doors. Lights were flickering on and off. All true. Let's see if you got close to figuring out what the actual explanation for that was. Here's his explanation. Derek, thank you very much for your story. The chat have had time to think about it. I've had time to think about it, and I don't know if I've had any more luck on the stream chatting with J.O. Warren, but certainly sat here now, I can't think of anything. So I'm dead interested. Over to you, mate.
Okay, so what we ended up figuring out while running a lot of tests and everything with our cameras and everything, and throughout the garage and all that, was that the screaming actually came from coyotes. There's a lot of coyotes around in the Illinois area. And throughout this particular spot, there's a forest preserve that's just not far off that they call their home. And a lot of skunks and possums and everything coming into the garage, coyotes come in and hunt. And when they scream, it's real loud. And it does actually sound like someone's being murdered sometimes. It's a little freaky. To the lights, though, and the doors and everything, that one was a little bit harder to pinpoint. What we ended up finding out was there was a miswiring that was done when hooking up all of the security systems. So instead of actually locking things down when it was supposed to, it would swing doors open, lights would flash thinking that there was a fire alarm, even though there was not. Is really overall just kind of an electrical issue.
Right, so there we go. Right, I'm wondering, is Gary in the chat without me tweeting you? Just if you're in the chat, Gary, if you still got the sound on, just drop us a message, because feel free to hit that link I sent you and come in at any point now. If you remember, Gary earlier on was one of the people that left us a message about living in like the alleged haunted house. And I did put a community post out for you to ask questions to Gary about what it was like living in the house, etc. We'll get him on for 10 minutes and have a chat with him about what it was like. But until then, I've got to figure out how to admit him into the call. This is
to address a couple of things that were in the chat. So yes, Theo Fungi, yes. Ash vs. Evil Dead was an amazing series, absolutely brilliant. I am sorry that it got canceled. We'll see what comes next for the Evil Dead franchise. Pete Joe Paxton, yes, sheep, especially young sheep, do also sound like babies crying, but cats more so. I actually have an interesting story where I encountered what I thought was a baby crying in the dark while I was out walking my dog. It actually turned out to be a young cat that was meowing out there. But that's a really cool thing of evolution that's going on out there. And I thought I saw something else. And yes, foxes also sound, especially when they're far enough away, sound like humans screaming, which is really, really wild. When you hear those, spend a lot of time in the woods, a lot of time in the wilderness, and animals make some pretty wild sounds, especially mountain lions. I've heard mountain lions in the dark, off in the distance, and those sound really, really creepy. When they're not being like mountain lion, big R, but when they're just kind of being chill about it, yeah, those are really, really freaky. So are foxes too, because they're more screams than they are barks or howls.
Right, we've got Gary with us.
Gary,
I'm just resizing the old window. Look at this. Look at my technical skills now on the fly. Look at that. I mean, I'm doing this live. Like, if ITV or BBC are watching anything like that, you need a producer. Just get in touch. I'm there. I'm ready. Technical skills are fantastic. Although, can we hear you, Gary? Are you there, sir? Maybe my technical skills aren't that great. What have I done to Gary? Have I somehow got him muted? Have I done that?
No, I might have done him.
Oh, no, you're there. We can hear you, mate. We can hear you.
Right there, sir. Awesome.
Right. So, I don't know what questions we're going to get, but we heard your story earlier on. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Thanks for your time. And I just
how
want
does
to
it
say...
feel to be the how does it feel to be the George Letts on the show?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for all the naysayers and
that's a little Amityville horror reference right there.
thing is, like, everything you, because me and Jay were talking before, and there's so many things, like timing and coincidence or state of mind. Even things like infrasound we talked about that can affect your psychology and all things that can make experiences seem extremely real. And that's what I'm interested in. Like, I don't doubt for a second anything you said on that video happened. I do not doubt that for a second. Obviously I can't explain what the reasons are for it, but it's amazing how it can make you feel, whether it's a supernatural cause or not. It can make you feel really freaked out, can't it?
Yeah, it's say about the smell I got. That was it was really pleasant. It was just a really pleasant smell.
You weren't in my house then?
Yeah, no. No. Yeah, it must have been before I had Sunday dinner. It's the voices I used to hear as well. They were a bit freaky at first, and we just got used to it. Yeah, it's because the houses were solid brick, so you couldn't hear neighbours. Only way you could hear it is if they actually shouted to one another. So it was always really quiet, and it was just odd. It was.
And have you moved out of there now?
Oh yeah, moved out a long time ago.
And when you've moved out,
I'm really curious.
Sorry,
I'm really curious. When was the house built?
It was an old farm labourer's cottage. I did try and find out how old it was, just out of curiosity. And the earliest pictures I found of it was 1860.
Wow. Okay. So
so it's probably before
nice.
that. And then the town of Ollerton, where I lived in, is a mining town as well.
Nice.
Yeah. There's one pillar of coal left under that town, which is under the church in the centre. When the mines were built, we weren't allowed to mine under it.
Oh, I know, because I'm not far from there. I could probably be there in half an hour if I needed to be. And it's a place. It's a place I know. It's nice. We've got some nice places around where you are.
Yeah. It was in Nottinghamshire. I lived down there for a while. It was really lovely. Middle of, like, you live that far away from anywhere. You passed a little chef going to your house.
Little chef, God.
Yeah.
I remember
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, showing me age.
Did you have little chefs in America, Jerry Warren? Is that a thing over there?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Little chefs. Did you have a little chef in America? It's like a I don't know what you would describe it as, like some sort of diner called Little Chef.
Not Little Chefs. That I haven't heard of. But I mean, we have diners here. We do have little eateries. We do have those, but I haven't heard of one called Little Chefs.
Little Chef. It's closed down now, but it was a nice branch. Right, Gary. We have some questions for you from the chat from people who've listened to your story. And again, thanks for coming on. I'll see if I can, because we've got about 18 here. Some are more relevant than others, so I'm going to see if I can pick out which ones. Steve Rushforth makes made a comment. He said he tastes colours. It's something called I can't pronounce it, but I've heard of it. Synesthesia. Am I pronouncing that right? So when you're saying like you had the smell or whatever, was that always associated with? What was that associated with? Was that associated with like in a particular room with particular colour wallpaper? Do you get that when you're out and about? Is it gone or was it just in the house?
No, it was just this one bit of the house. I was laid on the couch, just watching TV Sunday afternoon on my own. And it just sort of appeared. It just came. It was like, because I think I said, but when it happened, there's a block of 4 cottages, and we were only ones of the whole block. So it wasn't somebody cooking next door or anything. But it's one of us where he could get up, stand up, walk away, and it wasn't there. Go back to where it was laid, and then it's like it's there again. I said I weren't doing anything. I weren't. But my mental state was, well, debatable anyway, at best of times. But no, I weren't under any stress or anything like that. It was just this really pleasant smell.
Was it all in the house? Like, when these things, because it wasn't just smells, you had noises, you had seeing things at the corner of your eye, you had was it? Did ever you experience one of those things at the same time as someone else in the house experienced it?
Yeah, the walking towards the bedroom, the cold spot and flash of light. We both saw it at the same time. But I did get told that I think I must have been at work. But she was laying in the same spot and she got a different smell. She got not a very nice one. So I don't know. I don't know who it was. Yeah. It might have been Mary. It might have been Mary. Yeah. It might have been Mary getting jealous.
I say my wife often wakes up to unpleasant smells that aren't her making. Have that. But the question I really want to ask you is because you've been a subscriber for a long time, and I know that whenever we communicate in the chat and stuff like that, you're a normal, everyday, switched on, sensible guy, right? So
yeah.
When now you've left the house and you've moved away, looking back, what do you think? What do you genuinely think was going on in the house? Do you think it was a series of events that possibly could be explained, or do you think actually there might be something to all this?
I don't. There's nothing that could explain anything. I'm not one who goes, "Oh, I've seen something that's a ghost." I'm not like that. I'll always look for a logical explanation. But no, I can't say what caused anything, which is weird. I can't think what caused it. So I suppose, in a sense, we're not doing right. It could be classed as supernatural, or paranormal. Just for that, I can't find a reason why it happened.
And it is occurring to me actually, just when I said that some people watching now, because live streams, people dip in and out, some people might not have heard your story. Actually, would you mind just summarising it? Is that okay?
Yeah. So, old farm labourer's cottage, around about at least 150-year-old. We started hearing voices downstairs, almost people like having a conversation. We could hear. So it sounded like somebody was downstairs in front room. Then there was a sled there one Sunday. I got a really nice, pleasant, mozzie panny type smell. So there was that. We saw a flash of light where we shouldn't see any lights. Just like shoot across top of the stairs, almost like a lightning bolt, just quick going across. Then same spot. Was an icy patch in sort of like suspended in the air. Then heard somebody walking towards the bedroom one night, and that happened a few times. And that's the scariest thing that happened. That over everything else, we saw like little things in as we just put it down to like a cat or whatever. But we actually used to see. Both of us used to see like at the top of the stairs or going up the stairs like a cat, thinking it was our cat, but the cat was in the living room. So I don't know what that was. I don't know if it's just our minds playing tricks. But yeah, no, that's about it. I guess that's about it.
And all stopped when you left the house?
In that house, yeah, but I've always had weird stuff happening to me, whether it's seeing things. I do. This is weird. I do see this figure following me. I'm not saying I'm psychic or anything. Just out of the corner of my eye, I see like a black figure. It don't scare me, and I did tell I did tell a psychiatrist about it. And the person, because it was a telephone consultation, she went, "Oh, do you like see hear anything?" I said, "No, I don't hear anything." So, but I see things. She went, "Right, just give me 2 minutes. I'm just going to go and speak to my boss." So I'm thinking, "Oh, great, I should have said that." But it turns out that it's like when I get stressed, it's like a defense mechanism. And your body projects something to like protect you, which I thought was great. I thought that's ace, that your body sort of protects itself from any stress.
What, by creating visual illusions, kind of thing?
Yeah, Yeah, just like a little. Don't know if you see something like corner of your eye. That's all I can see.
A presentation of stress hormone, which is very interesting. I kind of dig that, and I do dig that you don't automatically go to the supernatural to explain something that's you don't readily have an explanation for. That's the best way. That's the best position to be in, is to come out. Well, I don't have an answer for that, but I'm pretty certain it's not aliens.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be something on the park near my house. Some alien thing, some shadow figure has been reported a few times as well. It's in there. I think it's on the Lancashire County Council website about it as well, which is, I've never seen it, but it's just where you're speaking about aliens.
Well, we are. I mean, I don't know. You remember when they were testing the stealth bomber? I've told this story a few times, but go back 25 years or 30 years, whatever it was, and we were like a UFO hotspot, weren't we?
Yeah. Oh, my sister and her husband saw that. Saw this black triangle thing going over Preston.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you guys would have been talking about the.
Because we've got British aerospace.
I thought you all would have been talking about the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Oh, well, no, we where we live, because we're not that far away from each other, me and Gary. Just by coincidence, we don't know each other, but. And I've told this story before, but they used to test fly the stealth bomber over here before it was like public knowledge. We're going back a long time. But because we've got a lot of moors that they can fly over, a lot of hills they can fly over, and when they used to do the low level flying, people obviously used to see it, and because they'd never seen anything like it, like this black triangle whizzing through the sky silently, there was a lot of UFO reportings until it came out that all those UFO sightings, this black triangle was actually the stealth bomber, and that's. But we were at one point like the UFO hotspot in Europe. Like the most UFO sightings in the entirety of Europe was over where we lived, and it was like I say, just a stealth bomber.
That's sweet. There's only one that I can think of as of recent, within the past 25 years, that I would say really kind of piques my curiosity, and that was the Phoenix incident.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Lights, and because that was a physical object that thousands of people witnessed, and a physical object moving through the sky that blocked out the stars behind it as it was passing by, just like any physical object moving in front of that object. Oh, I can't see the star. Oh, the stars disappeared. Thousands of people saw this goddamn thing. Now, I'm not saying it's an alien. I'm not saying it's whatever. I am saying I'll probably hazard to guess it's most likely military. It's something the military was doing, or I honestly don't know. But that right there is the weirdness, because it came, it went, there was some fervor, and then it just died.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to talk about it anymore. So that's the only one that really piques my interest. Oh, that and the Rendlesham Forest incident in England. I think outside of that Rendlesham RAF. Was it Air Force Base? Yeah, that one really, because the people that were involved in that were high-ranking military officials who went on the record, put their careers on the line to say what they saw, and that's pretty ballsy. And I mean, not to disparage the Brits or like that, but you guys aren't really known for like yucking it up like Americans do. Like, we'll make up a story just for the shits and giggles of it. You guys can be cheeky, but not American cheeky. And I don't see a RAF colonel, making up a story about an object that he saw in the woods.
Yeah.
With that kind of evidence, I just don't see that happening.
It would destroy your career, wouldn't it? If you know what you're getting into if you say something like that. It's that does interest me. But again, what was it? It doesn't necessarily mean it was an alien thing or whatever.
That's right. It could have been military. It could have been something that got away from him. Something that was a test thing. There's no telling what it could be. I mean, obviously we have Area 51, Groom Lake here in America, which is pretty much just an Air Force base. That's all it is. Where they do testing of basically new technology. It's where they tested the stealth. That's where they tested. They did initial testing of the Osprey, various other interesting stuff. So.
Gary, we've got a question for you from Heather Cadwell. She said, "What was it like? What was it like? How did it feel? Or how did your wife react when spooky stuff happened?" So, I mean, yeah, I mean, was your wife freaked out, or your partner, or whatever?
Yeah, when we heard the footsteps coming towards the bedroom, we both freaked. Yeah, she like heard it first time, and we weren't sleeping after that. Yeah, that was really scary.
See, footsteps coming towards a door. I mean, I struggle to think what that could be. You know, I mean, JL, what's your opinion on that? What's like the common sort of explanation?
It's like the house cooling down, or I thought because I'm half asleep, I'm actually hearing the cat walking down the hall. But it was proper footsteps sounding.
And the two of you heard it together. Which suggests it's a real noise, doesn't it? You know, rather than something in your head, it's because you're falling asleep. What do you think, JL?
These said, okay, I don't doubt that anybody that anything was actually experienced. I know that people experience things, and we always try to look at the interpretation of what those are. The thing that always gets me in particular situations like this, especially when two people are in the house, because I can relate to that, is the dynamic of what was going on between goes back to my psychology background, is the dynamic of what was going on between the two people at the time. The reason I preface this is because my wife and I were living in an apartment one time, and over in Carrollton, and it was a terrible apartment. It was just awful place to live. It was super cheap. You know, we were young. We'd only been together a couple of years. We were short on cash. You know how it is, the lean years. When you're together, and we just got this terrible apartment. Well, this at the time, she and I were going through a bit of a rough patch, and we were not happy with each other. She'd made some choices I didn't agree with, same, vice versa, and we were just kind of mad at each other all the time. At about this time, the weird stuff started going on in the apartment. We started getting really bad feelings about one particular area. Like, basically, it was the closet in the game room, because it's a 2-bedroom apartment. Master bedroom here, game room is here. Game room had a closet in it, and she started getting really bad feelings about that. I started getting really bad feelings about it. The lights in the closet would flicker, but it was only at key moments. It was a very weird pattern. If Angela and I were in a stead, or if we were arguing, the lights would start to kind of freak, but not normally. Only when animosity was up in the house. And then, of course, there were some weird smells that came out of that closet. We searched through it. We had management go up in there, could never find anything. Have no idea. But she and I began to really go at each other, and the mood just kept getting like all the positivity was getting sucked out of the apartment, and it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. But once we got out of that apartment and we moved to somewhere else, all done. It's like everything negative just vanished. So she's a little bit less skeptical than I am. She legitimately believes that there was something in the apartment that was feeding off of our negative emotions, that it was just drawing off of that, and the more it fed off of us, the more we just got, because there was no positivity. We just kept getting angry at each other, and she almost left me. She went back to Oklahoma and stayed with her mom for a while until I was able to get us out of that place. And then all of a sudden everything got better. It was weird. Myself, I think it was just a series of circumstances.
Yeah.
It was just coincidences. A lot of things happening all at once, and your brain tries to put the patterns together, and then that's when that turns into. So being in Gary's situation, living with someone there, both people experiencing it, I look at what the coincidences are that are going on in the house, and the dynamic between the people that are living there at that time, because sometimes that what you're experiencing between someone else can inform what you experienced somewhere else. If you're in a bad mood, or if you get up on the wrong side of the bed, you go to work, you start affecting the people around you because you are in a negative mood, because people react to your negativity. Right? And then, so if maybe that fed into it and helped to kind of, I would say bring it full circle. Is like, oh, I suspect this. Oh, but I'm in a bad mood. It's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then it kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy in that respect.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Gary?
Yeah. So I know whenever anything happened, we weren't arguing or anything, so we always got on. But I see what you mean. But suppose it could happen the other way if you're really happy you're in good moods.
It could, yeah. I would say it's just as likely, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, there are things that will amplify your emotion. I mean, I mentioned infrasound before, but and I'm not a psychologist, but I am aware that there are certain situations, certain triggers that will just amplify whatever your current emotion is. Which
and I mean, instead of negatively reacting to things, you could see things that kind of fill in the gaps of like, your emotions can affect which you see, especially if they're amplified by errant technology in some way. So he says that the house was built, the earliest town was 1860.
Yeah,
Wow.
1860 was the earliest picture I could find.
I can't think of any houses here in America that are that freaking old, but I know
it's probably older than America.
Yeah, I know some pubs. I know some pubs that are that old. But this is it's amazing. Given that, and you had running water and you had a working AC, right?
Well, we're in England. We don't have any AC, but we have running water.
We don't.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, technology-wise, you have technology in the place. So depending upon the year of the plumbing, if the plumbing was currently up to date, or if the plumbing was lagged behind a few years, heavy metals can leach into the water, which can cause minor effects. Mostly it's memory lapses, and memory lapses are what cause your brain to fill in the gaps to create new memories, so they can understand what's going on, for to understand missing time. Obviously, with an AC or any type of HVAC unit, you can, if it's especially old, you can get, like Katz was saying, you can get electromagnetic frequencies, which can play Mary Hob with, with not only your emotions but also your dreams. I'm always curious about the technology, especially in really, really old houses, because that can really play a factor.
Yeah. So I remember it was I remember the boiler. It was a Worcester boiler. It was, so everything had got rewired. So it was nothing. Once anything was old in it, it was almost all done up inside. The only thing that was left that was original was the beam that ran right through the middle of the house.
Was it an electric boiler?
No, gas.
Gas boiler? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then again, that's chemicals. That's still heavy metals. That's so you never know. I mean, the smallest gas leak can result in that. Even something pinhole that's not lethal, but can just get you a little bit of a taste every once in a while. That can cause weird things. That can cause memory lapses. That can cause physical sensations on the skin. That can cause smells and sounds and tastes that aren't there. That plays Mary Hob with your senses. There's even a minute gas leak that could really, really mess with you. So there's no telling. I mean, I wasn't in the house. I obviously did investigate it, and you came out fine. You're safe. You're not. You came out no worse for wear.
No, but nothing like attacked me, like he's like the entity or anything like that. Nothing like that happened.
Thing is, if nothing else, what it's given you is some brilliant stories. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember that time we saw this together? Do you remember that time we heard this? And that's what it gives you. And maybe in future you'll have a similar experience, but in a slightly different context, and you'll think, oh shit, maybe that was the reason this happened, or maybe. But that's the fascinating bit of this kind of stuff, isn't it? It's figuring it out, problem solving. I love it. I think the idea is great. And I really want to
life needs a little mystery. I think life needs a little mystery. We need mystery in our lives, simply because it gives our brains to keep working towards something.
Yeah.
If all the questions are answered, what is the freaking point? So that's one thing I really, really do dig, is that you not knowing everything, you can't know everything, you won't have all the answers. These are things to engage on and to enjoy and to take. There's a little bit of life out there that is still left to the imagination. It's great. It's great having the answers. It's great understanding the everything behind everything. But sometimes you don't want to look behind the curtain. Sometimes you just want to let the imagination roll, and that's really, really important, I think.
Well, just very quickly, super chat from Crafty Keeler. Haven't got my production skills from before, since I was bragging. If anyone needs a producer for anything important, avoid cats like the plague. Thank you very much. Although she is right. Gary, before we let you go, I just want to say thank you loads for sharing your story with us. And for those people who are in the chat now who didn't hear the story in full, it was quite near the beginning of the show if you go and have listened to it. Thanks for coming on and answering some questions with us. If people, because we're a little bit short on questions for you, because I think a lot of people here missed the original story. I think I probably timed it wrong. But if people ask you questions in the chat, are you happy, like when the video's rendered, are you happy to, just to answer them? Would that be something you'd be willing to do? Like in the comment
good.
section?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I did see a couple of chats.
Oh, you said go on.
With the diffraction one, I don't know. I don't care. I know it's spheroid, so I don't need to know how that works. And the one on one, I didn't need a calculator for that, and it's 180. So.
Just to make it very clear, Gary is a long-time subscriber of ours. He's on very much on the science side with us. So there we go. Just telling some interesting stories. So, Gary, I really do appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I'd urge anybody else to go and wind back and listen to his original story another time. And if you're happy to answer some questions in the chat comment section when the video is rendered, that would be great. We're not going to leave it too long before we wrap up here. So what I'll do is I'll say goodbye to you, Gary, now on air, and then I'll just do a bit of an outro with JL. And thank you again very much for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and if I don't want to do it on here, my Twitter is Gaz, Gaz_Donnelly. So you can find me on there as well.
Let me just put that in the chat, at Gaz_Donnelly. And I'll put gas underscore. What the hell is wrong with me?
Gaz_Donnelly. There's that smell.
That's exactly what it is. So, and like I say, Gary's been a subscriber for a long time. He's got his head screwed on. He's a sound bloke, so it's interesting to speak to someone who's had odd experiences that I know is actually quite a rational guy. So thank you, Gary. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that.
Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Nice talking to you.
I'll keep you in touch on with you on Twitter, mate. Have a good one.
Aye. Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Now this is where I test my my technical skills, because he's going to vanish off the Zoom call in a minute. I'm going to have to resize it.
Cats.
Yes, mate.
Cats. Ranty would like you to know that he has enjoyed most of this.
Oh, and super chat as well. Thank you, Ranty. Thank you very much. Soundbite. He wants a soundbite. The Earth is flat. Okay, you've got your soundbite there. Jim Broughton. £2 Ranty. No, it isn't. Thank you very much. JL, is there any of the clips you put together, because I know you searched after them, that you want us to look at and definitely don't want to miss?
Yes. They're both pretty quick. Let me just make sure I got the numbers for them so I can give them to you. Yes. So number 4 and number 3. Do number 4 first, and then do number 3, because that one's a little bit longer, and it's actually kind of cool. So both of these, I definitely want to hear what the live chat thinks as to what they are seeing here.
Here's clip number 4. Then I'll press play.
No way. Whoa. No way. Whoa.
Well, I cannot think of what might have happened there. That is unexplainable.
The ladder moved. So the one thing that the clip is a little bit longer. It does have a little bit of establishing. The guy's there in the dark. He's using the night vision deal on his camera, and he's looking around like this. And then the one thing that gets you is that he's looking up, and there's the top of the ladder, which means the bottom of the ladder is not visible. And then all of a sudden, the ladder moves. Oh my God, the ladder moved! Like ladders just like ladders don't move. But what got me is if you zoom in, and anybody was watching can do this. If you zoom in and you look, the ladder. So the ladder moves. The ladder doesn't just go like and it moves. It doesn't just like move across. You can actually tell the ladder's being moved just from the angle of the movement. The ladder's being moved from the bottom.
It's pivoting at the bottom, is it? It's like that. Let's have
There's
watch.
the slightest pivot to that ladder when they move it, and I was like, come on, guys. Yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm gonna play that again. Let's have a look. See if people can see it.
No. No. No way.
You can see it just barely. You can see that. You don't want to do it too much because you'll give away the ghost.
You can see that, yeah. Someone's definitely. My word. I mean, thing is though, he stood so close to the ladder as well. You know, like, why would you be so close to a ladder, filming the top of it? It starts moving, and I don't know. His reaction wasn't a normal reaction, was it? To someone who's seen a ghost move a ladder.
For all of the points, that's the one big thing. For all of the points all over the place that an event could occur, of all the infinite number of points that are around it, the event always occurs within the small frame of the camera. It's always just as the camera got there or just as the camera is leaving. There's a formula to creating a ghost event or to creating a paranormal event on camera. And while some of them look really cool, I'll admit, Ghost Hunters did some pretty cool ones. But under if you go at it from a Randy perspective, rest in peace, James Randi. If you go at it from the Randy perspective, you could.
When did he die?
You didn't know James Randi passed away? Yeah, James Randi passed away too.
When?
Where have you been?
Preparing the stream. Tell me it wasn't today as well.
Oh my God! Oh yes,
it was today.
James Randi, American Canadian magician. James Randi passed October 20th, 2020 in Florida.
Oh, what a shame.
He passed October. Yeah, he passed October 20th. Sean Connery just passed away today. So,
is there any other bad news you want to tell me that I've missed out on? Do you want to break to me?
No, sorry, no, I don't have anything. I don't have anything else. I'm sorry about that, man. I'm just the bearer of bad news on this Halloween. Also, this is very cool for anybody who loves watching the stars out there. For anybody is a sky gazer or an astronomer. Tonight will be the first full moon, like legit full moon on a Halloween for the last 76 years. So. It has not occurred where we've had a legit full moon on a Halloween, so take advantage of it, Ghosts and Goblins.
It's going to be awesome, is that one. Mike71 corrects Ranty and says, Ranty is a great globe prover. There we go. Just read that one out. So, well,
I will say this. For Ranty, I've never conversed with you, Ranty. I've never talked with you. I don't know you personally. You know you have a better relationship with cats than I do, but I will say this. While you and cats disagree on whatever, and I actually think you're very, very good at proving the globe Earth. I've seen the videos where you proved it. They're amazing. They're better than I could do. I do like that you enjoy horror films. I do like that you've enjoyed the conversation that we've had here. That this genre is something that we can all kind of get behind and get into at varying levels. Some people like extreme, some people like benign, but everybody digs it in some form or other. It's one thing that can bring us together, especially on the day of all days.
Absolutely. David Oliver, again, thank you very much. Says, thanks for the stream, J.O. Warren and Baldy Cats. Thank you very much for all your support. And we will be calling it a day soon, but we've got one more clip left from you. And we've got a song.
Yes.
Nathan Oakley's going to sing us out. So we have got a song, but we're going to get you a clip. JL5, I've called it. That's the one, isn't it?
I believe so. I can actually double check that right fast. Have I got the folder pulled up?
I think I've done
No, JL5. That was the graveyard. That's the person acting like a ghost.
It has to be JL2 because it's the only one we've not done.
It's got to be 3. It's 3.
It's got to be 3. Trust
it's
me.
3 because two is the pareidolia.
Okay.
2 is the pareidolia of the face in the crib.
Here's. Well, there you go. For someone who died in a fire, she looks pretty sharpish on her feet there.
Yeah, she does. She does. And not only that, she also has a shadow, which is pretty impressive. But if you look, she does actually cast a shadow as she's walking through that hallway, because that floor, I believe they're walking in a museum. and the floor that she is walking on is highly polished. And she actually does cast a minor reflection, and she casts a shadow as she's walking by. If you slow it down, you do actually. There is a moment where she's a bit ahead of the camera because she was walking by right as the camera was going by. Like I said, we've talked about it. Timing is everything. And there's a moment where it looks like she should be there, but she's not. But then the camera catches up, and then you can see her. You can see her like fully because the camera simply had not caught up to her yet. And so it's really, really cool. The timing is really, really neat on it. But yeah, nothing scary about it, especially when working in a I think this was like a museum home or something like that catered to that whole deal. I'm pretty sure it was an employee that was passing by.
Absolutely. And it's what you said before rings in my ears for that clip where you say, well, you know, whoever's filming that, what happened afterwards? Why were they not looking, thinking, what the hell is that? And going and having a look if it wasn't just a normal person walking down the corridor? You know, why did that clip end there?
It's broad daylight. You have people around you. You see other people walking by. There are people there. Okay, you just happened to see this, and you yourself didn't happen to walk over the 10 feet to the hallway to verify. Oh, it was just somebody walking by. I thought I saw something. It's like, nah, it was just the employee caught me in the corner of my eye, and I'm good to go. No, it's automatically a scary lady that died in a fire, 100 years ago. Like, sorry. It's my favorite example. If you've ever seen Mila Jovovich in the movie The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
Okay. The beautiful moment between Dustin Hoffman and Mila Jovovich when the two of them were talking, and it was like, out of all the infinite ways that a sword could wind up in a field, from the inexplicable to the obvious, you chose, the sword came out of the heavens. That's the one you went with. You see what you want to see. I love that as, kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. You get what you want to get.
You certainly do. And listen, mate, I did get what I want to get. Look at this. Look at the way I'm segueing this in. I did get what I want to get.
Nice.
Because what I wanted was to get you, because you're such a knowledgeable guy about all things Halloween. And there's so much I wanted to ask you about more that we haven't had time for. We've got to do one of these again. I really appreciate it. But I did. I got you in the stream. I really, really appreciate it. I do urge everybody to subscribe to J.O. Warren's podcast. And also check his debates out as well. He's been on Agree to Disagree. He'll do more. Very articulate, very well prepared, very well resourced. And hopefully you've had a good idea. Shit. It's knocked my headphones out. I think I might have damaged the microphone on it. Can you all still hear me? Right. So hopefully you've got a good idea of what he's all about, especially tonight. So I really, really appreciate you doing this. So thank you. Is there anything that you want to shill out that isn't linked in the description that should be?
I don't know. If I think everything is linked down in there. If you guys really love what we do, if you really, really want to support the show, we do have a Teespring. You can check out teespring.com/weekinhorror. We have the new season 2 shirts up there, which are really, really cool. If you really, really dig in, you're able to, but don't worry if you can't. I know times are tough, and this whole COVID thing has got everybody insane. We have a Patreon. We have a Patreon. You can help support the show for we have a tier as low as $1 a month. So we have that. If it's something that you're interested in doing, if you like to see more content, more original content, because we love making it for you. So yeah, we have those options. But if not, just listening, liking, and sharing. You guys are freaking amazing. We love you all.
Brilliant. And it is excellent show as well. I want to thank
you.
No, it is. It's very good. I want to thank Derek for coming on and giving us his stories. We did play the explanation, his second explanation, didn't we? Where he talked about the coyotes and the. Or did I skip past that?
I think you skipped past that. Yeah.
Oh shit! Right. If I did, we played the first part of his story where he said he was hearing women scream in this building and lights flickering on and off. I think I did, but just in case I didn't, the women screaming were actually coyotes in a field in the background that they could hear in the building, and it was just dodgy wiring that was making the lights flicker and doors opening when they should be shutting, etc.
Yeah.
Generally Shady, $2. Thank you very much to start a GoFundMe to throat punch Oakley. I read that. I would not suggest anybody going throat punching anybody, but thank you very much. Speaking of, Nathan, I was going to thank people, wasn't I, as well? Thank you, Andy, for coming on doing your ghost story. Thank you, Derek, for giving us yours. Thank you, Gary, for giving us yours and also coming on. Thank you, Jay Warren. Thank everybody who's watched in the chat and everybody who's supported. I'm just blown away. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nathan Oakley, for yet again getting diffraction wrong. He's going to sing us out with a song. If you haven't seen the latest Baldy Cats video, yet again, Nathan Oakley does get diffraction wrong. He asks a question which makes no scientific sense whatsoever. Or he makes a statement that objects diffract into the distance. He obviously doesn't know that diffraction is a property of waves. Oh, Jim Broughton says, another donation for the Jokley throat punch. Bloody hell. I better get into the song before people...
He's been watching that Natalie Portman film Annihilation too much. Everything refracts. No.
Ranty, also, yes, thank you. I am going to thank you for being a patron for the... but I want to just urge anybody, because I've said that, Conspiracy Cats and Baldy Cats does not have a patron. It doesn't. That is for the educational channel only. But thank you very much. Call the Void. Can you then play a ghost clip? Oh, can you play a ghost clip, then Ranty clip? I don't have any Ranty clips, I'm afraid. Not set up into OBS. And I'm not technically, logically... able of pulling them in. Anyway, I'm going to go to the song. Nathan Oakley asking the question, or making this. What am I talking about? Making the statement that objects diffract into the distance. I don't know. I'll give you the last word, and then I'll play. I'll give you the last word, JL, and then I'll go to the song. And then check out the
thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Cats, for having me on. This was an absolute blast to talk about the stuff that I love so much. And hope you check out the show. Hope you like and subscribe to Cats. He's awesome if you haven't already yet. Check me out, Week in Horror. Check out my personal channel, JL Warren, where my personal vids are, all the debates stuff I've done. If not, be safe, be excellent to each other, have a magnificent Halloween, and we will see you next time.
Yes, and we have one more super chat before I play the song from The Oncoming Storm, who says Paul McGann. I'm not sure what the context of Paul McGann was, but he was an excellent Doctor Who. Right, here's the song.
Things diffract into the distance.
That makes no sense.
I couldn't care less. Things diffract into the distance.
Who says that?
A fuckwit.
Can you tell me what somebody means when they say an object diffracts into the distance?
It pretty much means fuck all.
Things diffract into the distance.
Holy shit. We need to fix this.